Chapter 8:55. Coming out of Hope City, Fong Ping took a look at his wealth again. He was indescribably satisfied. Wealth, 820 billion points vitality, 121,000 calories, 126,800 calories, mentality, 7,125 hertz, 8,099 hertz, destruction power, 63 yuan, storage space, 10,000 cubic meters, plus energy shield, 1 point/minute, plus aura simulation, 10 points/minute, plus origin detailed analysis, 10-100 million points/time, getting rich in one battle. Fong Ping's heart was filled with endless emotions. This was still his wealth. There were also 5 mineral veins, all in one piece. Fong Ping did not ask for anything this time. He had gained a lot from the Magic City catacombs, but to save time, he did not care so much and only asked for 5 mineral veins. There were about 100 tons of rank 9 energy stones, 200,000 caddies. The value was exactly the same as his share, worth 60 trillion. Cultivation room. Fong Ping was not in a hurry to ask Qin Fengqing, nor was he in a hurry to discuss other things with Old Wang and the rest. At this time, Fong Ping finally had the mood to sort out his gains and martial arts path after obtaining his wealth. 100 tons of rank 9 energy stones, true King Origin Path Crystal Door, rank 9 Origin Path Crystal Door, cat fruit, heaven-shattering stone. This was Fong Ping's current wealth. He had given the other holy fruits and whatnot to others. The holy fruit was given to Li Hansong. Fong Ping gave the 3 pine cones that enhanced his physique to Yao Chungjun. As for the vitality peaches, he gave them to Chen Zhenhua and the rest. A rank 9 Changdao, a pair of rank 9 combat boots, a set of rank 8 divine armor. This was Fong Ping's weapon. 2 peerless unique skills. This was combat techniques. Fong Ping suddenly realized that he really did not lack anything now. Combat techniques, weapons, resources. I have everything. The only thing I lack is experience. This is my only shackle now. It might not be easy to achieve Golden Body 8th refinement to 9th refinement. There might be other restrictions. At rank 9, one could actually forge a golden body, but it was very difficult. Old Zhang advanced from peak 7th refinement. At rank 9, he forged his golden body to peak 8th refinement before the peak. That was why Old Zhang's foundation was extremely strong, unlike the average true king. However, Old Zhang was still unable to reach the 9th refinement, and this was most likely not an issue with his spiritual power. I'm not in a hurry to reach the 9th refinement. I've only just reached the 8th refinement, so I can try to comprehend my own Tao. However, the stronger the foundation, the easier it will be to comprehend. Fong Ping did not panic at all when it came to Origin Tao. Over at Hope City, for catacombs rank 9 powerhouses were still imprisoned. Among them, there were 3 Origin Tao experts that he could observe. Let's take a look at the battle technique first. Let's see if it's of any help to me. Very quickly, 2 crystal books appeared in Fong Ping's hands. After reading for a while, Fong Ping set his eyes on the void-piercing technique. Li Zhen's book was read first. He felt that Old Zhang had left behind 2 absolute arts, and Li Zhen's was probably just for him to read. As for Old Zhang himself, it might be of some help to Fong Ping. Otherwise, there was no need for Zhang Tao to leave this for him. Void-piercing sword technique. I've heard a lot about you. Fong Ping chuckled. He had indeed heard of this lost art a long time ago, and it was indeed very powerful. Powerhouses like Li Chongsheng and Li Daong, who had learned sword techniques, were all murderous and extremely powerful when they fought. Fong Ping calmed himself down. A paragon powerhouse could selflessly provide the lost art to everyone, especially when this paragon was still alive. Other than the few paragons of the neo-martial arts era, no other era's paragon powerhouses could do this. Top paragons like Zhang Tao and Li Jun could give their lost arts to others. This was something that the catacombs' true king could not do. Such a heavy, murderous aura. When Fang Ping started reading the lost art, his consciousness entered an empty space in the next moment. As soon as he entered, Fang Ping felt his consciousness being cut apart. Murderous aura, sword aura. In the empty space, sword aura was crisscrossing, extremely swift and fierce. Just as Fang Ping was thinking about how to learn the lost art, a phantom appeared in the next moment. Sword aura soar. Commander Li. Fang Ping was a little surprised. Then, realization dawned on him. This was a paragon's lost art. It was actually considered a mentality space. It was normal for a paragon to leave a projection of his consciousness in it. When martial arts powerhouses fight and kill, their overall strength depends on whether their foundation is solid, whether their experience is sufficient, whether their outburst is strong enough, whether their willpower is strong enough. The so-called difference in realms only provides a foundation. Experience lies in combat. Willpower lies in oneself. Only the strength of outburst lies in the lost art and the control of power. Combat techniques are a kind of recombination of energy. There are millions of martial artists. Everyone has a combat technique that is most compatible with them. The slightest difference can lead to a huge difference. My combat techniques are the most suitable for me. Perhaps I might not be able to unleash my full strength, but the void-piercing swordsmanship is the combat technique that can unleash my strength the most out of the millions of recombination methods that I've tried over the years. In the empty space, Li Jun's voice was deafening. Fang Ping did not speak. He knew that this was only a remnant of Li Jun's mentality. It was not a clone and did not possess self-awareness. At this moment, Fang Ping began to listen attentively. The strength of martial arts powerhouses depended on what Li Jun said. Combat techniques were very important, but they were just SOSO. It depended on whether one could find the one that was most compatible with oneself in the process of recombination of countless types of energy. My path is not the path of the sword. It's the path of killing. Li Jun's voice grew louder, his voice solemn. Stopping killing by killing is my path. Killing to achieve eternal peace. I don't care about the process. I only care about the result. The core of the void-piercing swordsmanship is to kill. The energy combination may not be suitable for everyone, but the sword must be used to kill the enemy. This is the power of willpower. Not only the sword, you can use sabers, spears, fists. What is void-piercing? Void-piercing is not void-piercing, but breaking the enemy's golden body's weak points. The sword breaks the void, cuts the golden body, and destroys the spirit. That is void-piercing. Martial arts powerhouses with a rank 8 golden body are known to be immortal. But why are there 9 refinements of the golden body? The human body is mysterious, and it is humanity's greatest treasure. The deeper the golden body is forged, the fewer the weak points. The lower the forging, the more the weak points. The eyes, throat, heart, genitals, Bai Hui, are they all invincible golden bodies, immortal? Li Jun, who usually did not speak much, was now in class. Fang Ping did not know if Li Jun came to class specifically for him, or if all the ultimate arts were like this. At this time, however, Fang Ping still listened attentively. It was worth paying attention to a top powerhouse telling him these things. A golden body powerhouse was a manifestation of a martial artist's physical strength being developed to the extreme. At this stage, it was difficult for a martial artist to die. However, since the golden body was divided into 9 refinements, naturally there was a reason for them. Although a first refinement golden body powerhouse also had a golden body, the golden body was not dense enough, and there were gaps that were almost invisible to ordinary people. At this moment, the powerhouse's golden body collapsed. Why did it collapse? Because it was broken by energy, breaking the golden body's defense. According to Li Jun, a true golden body powerhouse was invincible. I have a golden body. No matter how strong you are, no matter how powerful your attack, you can't break my golden body's defense. With a golden body, your energy can't break it, can't invade inside. Even if you can't beat others, others can't kill you. This is a true golden body powerhouse. This is true immortality. However, this kind of existence only existed in theory. Since ancient times, no one had achieved this step. During the ancient martial era, the first-generation martial artists created the cultivation system, and the golden body was the limit. At that time, there was no such thing as the origin path. Beginner martial artists were all developing their bodies, developing their own potential. Li Jun was clearly explaining combat techniques, but he changed the topic and talked about the legendary ancient martial era. At that time, the first-generation martial artists were still exploring. They did not know about the origin path and were all developing their bodies. The golden body forging was also the most common during that period. The origin path may not be the right path. The origin path is about borrowing power. Where does the borrowed power come from? Some people say that the source of the origin path borrowing power still comes from oneself, a kind of eruption of one's own potential. Unfortunately, we can't detect the source of this power. That's why we can only borrow power and not truly control the origin path. The first-generation martial artists persisted in developing themselves. Did they find the source of power and control this power? Did they really transform the origin path into their own use? Li Jun was still talking. Fang Ping said helplessly, "Commander Li, stop babbling. Just talk about combat techniques and how to reorganize power." "Shut up." Fang Ping was stunned. "You are alive." Li Jun was still expressionless, but he continued. "Zhang Tao asked me to say these words. He guessed that you would interrupt. Now shut up." Fang Ping was dumbfounded. Was this a program? "Enough, all of you. Continue listening." Li Jun's projection did not look at Fang Ping. He continued to talk, from the development of the body to the changes in the origin path. It seemed like he was not just teaching combat techniques, but also helping Fang Ping sort out his martial arts. Fang Ping understood now. Perhaps old Zhang's ultimate technique was the same. Both of them knew Fang Ping's flaws, and were now helping him sort out his entire martial arts system. Li Jun talked for a long time before he began to teach his origin path's ultimate technique officially, the void-piercing swordsmanship's energy recombination method. Fang Ping listened for a while and suddenly frowned. Ultimate technique. In the past, he was still wondering why ultimate techniques could enhance one's body. Now, he suddenly understood. Ultimate techniques could also borrow power. A martial artist's own energy was limited. The outburst was also limited. However, after the ultimate technique recombined energy, it could actually cause external energy to resonate, breaking the martial artist's own limits. Fang Ping was suddenly a little interested. According to Li Jun, if the power you mastered was compatible with the energy of heaven and earth, when you slashed with your sword, the original 100,000 calories vitality destructive power might cause the nearby energy to resonate and join in to kill the enemy, causing the outburst to be even more powerful. This was an ultimate technique. Not only did it allow one to unleash their strongest power, but it could also attract some external energy to join in and make one stronger. Why were ultimate techniques related to origin path? This was also the reason. The ultimate technique was not only compatible with external energy, but also with one's origin path. The way it recombined energy could possibly cause the martial artist's origin path to resonate once the enemy mastered it and analyzed the ultimate technique's energy recombination method. They could possibly use the same recombination method during battle to induce the martial artist's origin path to lose control. I see. At this moment, Fong Ping really understood why martial artists cared so much about their own ultimate techniques. Especially origin path powerhouses, they really cared too much about their own ultimate techniques. They cared so much that they were in the catacombs that they almost did not teach it to their children. When the enemy was familiar with your energy recombination method and simulated it, it could actually cause the powerhouse's origin path to lose control. This was something Fong Ping did not expect. Moreover, if your energy recombination method was compatible with your origin path, then the enemy could also analyze the direction of your origin path. Everyone's origin path source was different. There were countless types of energy. In the origin space, it was actually possible to explore origin path through different origin paths' energy and trigger a resonance. What do you mean? When he heard Li Zhen's words, Fong Ping suddenly realized something. How to walk on someone else's origin path. Mastering the other party's ultimate technique and knowing their energy recombination method. When one's consciousness entered the origin space, one could actually discover that origin path through the guidance and resonance of this energy. Fong Ping was shocked. If that's the case, origin path is actually not just a personal product. It exists in everyone's consciousness. When I master a person's ultimate technique and know their energy recombination method, then I can enter their origin path in the origin space. In an instant, Fong Ping sorted out a lot of things. How to walk on someone else's path. How to observe someone else's path. There was actually a way without relying on the system. Could it be that the system observes someone else's path like this? Actually, by simulating the other party's energy recombination method, then entering the other party's origin path? Fong Ping suddenly understood the system's principle. At this moment, Li Zhen also began to teach him the energy recombination method. It was very complicated. It was so complicated that Fong Ping finally understood why it was necessary to impart the ultimate technique in this way. In the consciousness space, martial artists could speak more clearly and demonstrate more clearly. Li Zhen divided his vitality energy into close to 300,000 portions. This was his basic strength. His basic vitality was as high as 300,000 cal. This was something Fong Ping did not expect. According to old Zhang, if Li Zhen walked on 2 paths now, the increment would probably be 7 times. If that was the case, after the origin path's increment, Li Zhen's vitality strength had reached 800,000 cal, or was it the absolute peak of 800,000 cal? Old Zhang had mentioned the titled true gods before. When the absolute peak of vitality reached 1 million cal, one would probably have the ability of a titled true god. If that was the case, Li Zhen was actually not too far away from 1 million cal. According to old Zhang, after the Life King's increment, it was only above 800,000 cal. It seemed to be less than 900,000 cal. Doesn't this mean that Li Zhen's ability is actually similar to the Life King's? Li Zhen is not as strong as the Life King, right? Or could it be that old Zhang underestimated the Life King, and Commander Li actually did not reach the point of 7 times? Many thoughts surfaced in Fong Ping's mind. After the absolute peak of the increment, the weakest absolute peak had the absolute peak vitality strength of 400,000 cal. People like Li Zhen were much stronger than the weakest absolute peak. After the absolute peak, the stronger the foundation, the higher the increment, and the more obvious the increase in ability. Li Zhen's basic vitality is as high as 300,000 cal. Is it because of the high level of golden body forging Fang Ping thought to himself, not delaying him from watching Li Zhen's demonstration. 300,000 vitality units were recombined. Fang Ping could not imagine how many possibilities there were to recombine 300,000 units. There were countless possibilities, but he could not calculate them all. According to the arrangement and combination, even if only 10 different units were recombined without order, there would be millions of possibilities. And the combination of 11 units, according to the factorial method, would be tens of millions of possibilities. 300,000 vitality units were recombined. Fang Ping was dumbfounded. How many possibilities were there? He could not calculate them all. Previously, when Li Zhen said that he had tried millions of arrangements, Fang Ping thought he was bragging. Now, he was not bragging. Fang Ping even thought that it was too little. There were so many methods, but Li Zhen had only tried millions of energy combinations. The void-piercing swordsmanship might not be the combat technique that suited him the best. Is this how powerhouses create their own ultimate arts? This is not talent, this is hard work. Fang Ping smiled bitterly. Finding the most suitable one among the countless possibilities was not even as difficult as finding a needle in a haystack. If he wanted to create his own ultimate art, would he not have to try countless times? He might not be able to find the most suitable one in his lifetime. No wonder every powerhouse values their own ultimate art so much. So that's how it is. Moreover, the stronger one is, the harder it is to find the most suitable one. 1,000 cal vitality. If the degree of disassembly is not high, and it is split into 10 parts, it will be much easier to find. Fang Ping also realized that Li Zhen might not be able to disassemble his strength into 300,000 parts in reality. However, in the willpower space, he could do it. Fang Ping looked for a while and suddenly laughed. I can probably disassemble it into 3 cal per unit, 100,000 parts, but not to the extent of 1 cal per unit. Li Zhen was very prideful. He purposely made it seem like he had disassembled it into 300,000 parts, but Fang Ping realized that most of them were composed of 3 cal vitality as a whole unit. Still, 3 cal was very strong. At Li Zhen's level, to be able to disassemble it to this extent, his strength control was definitely not lower than 70%. As for Li Zhen, it had not been many years since he advanced to the absolute peak, and he was still growing stronger. With a vitality strength of 810,000 calories, 70% control, he could unleash a vitality strength of about 570,000 calories, which was equivalent to more than 1,000,000 cal under the absolute peak. If the ultimate art had an amplification, then it would be even stronger. With this conversion, Fang Ping realized that if Li Zhen fought a rank 9, he could probably kill one with one punch. Qi Huanyu might not be an exception. Li Zhen was still reassembling his strength. To demonstrate to Fang Ping, he reassembled it very slowly. Fang Ping watched carefully. Only martial artists had sharp ears and eyes, strong mentality, and strong memory. Otherwise, he would not be able to tell who was who just by looking at these hundreds of thousands of strength units. In this case, there was no need to talk about the strength combination. The final result of every vitality unit's recombination is different. If the combination is wrong, it might even cause the collapse of one's own strength. That's why combat techniques are divided into strong and weak. For me, once I use the void-piercing swordsmanship, there will be an increase of about 5% on the original strength. As for ordinary martial artists, if they don't have their own ultimate art and learn from others, they can unleash 70% of their own strength. This means that the compatibility is already extremely high. Fang Ping listened with great interest in the willpower space. He also watched with great interest. He even began to try to combine his own strength. Learn from Li Zhen. Even if the powerhouse's strength combination was not compatible with martial artists, he could still learn something from it. Fang Ping tried to follow Li Zhen's method. His vitality was not as strong as Li Zhen's, a little more than 120,000 calories. The current Fang Ping could only disassemble it into 5 calories units, a little more than 20,000 vitality units. According to Li Zhen's combination method, Fang Ping performed the recombination with a ratio of 5:1. Li Zhen disassembled it into about 100,000 units. Fang Ping only needed to reduce his vitality units by 5 times and then recombine them. Energy recombination was very difficult. An ultimate art could not be learned just by watching it once. Fang Ping kept learning in the willpower space, but his strength kept collapsing. He still needed to try to change some of the arrangements to make it more suitable for him. Fang Ping felt that he did not learn for long. Outside, Macmao, Li Hansong came out of closed-door cultivation again. He lamented, "It's been half a month. This guy has been in closed-door cultivation for the longest time, right? A whole half a month." Fang Ping was immersed in the pleasure of energy recombination and could not extricate himself. He also began to try to recombine his strength. The countless arrangements made Fang Ping a little addicted. The ultimate art seemed to have opened a window for Fang Ping. For the first time, he did not think about anything and was immersed in cultivation. The powerhouses were in closed-door cultivation. The Fang Ping in the past might not know why they were in closed-door cultivation for so long. Some people in closed-door cultivation would take decades or even centuries. If Fang Ping came out of closed-door cultivation at this time, he would probably understand. Wang Jinyang had returned to Nanjiang and rushed over again. He nodded when he heard that. It's indeed long. This guy has no intention of coming out of closed-door cultivation at all. If this goes on, he won't be in closed-door cultivation until the big war, right? They looked at each other, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Everyone was surprised by Fang Ping's speed in closed-door cultivation and coming out of closed-door cultivation. Now that he was immersed in it for half a month, everyone felt that it would be troublesome if he did not come out soon. Do we need to call him out? Li Hansong was hesitant. For people like them, long-term closed-door cultivation was not a good thing. It was necessary to tidy up the martial arts path and sort it out appropriately. However, it was not long before the all-out war. Fang Ping had not come out of closed-door cultivation. Everyone was worried that he would really sink into it and could not extricate himself. Before the end of the month, Wang Jinyang thought for a while and said, "If he still hasn't come out of closed-door cultivation by the end of the month, then think of a way to get him out. When he comes out this time, I think his strength will improve greatly. We all have to work hard." Fang Ping's talent was not bad. Even if he had unlimited resources, to be able to cultivate to this stage in a short time was also a sign of talent and intelligence. If he immersed himself in it for so long, the gains would not be small. "It's almost the new year," Li Hansong suddenly said, a little emotional. He then smiled and said, "Even if he comes out of closed-door cultivation, he probably won't do anything before the new year. It seems like we haven't been home for a long time. Let's all go back for the new year." Fang Ping's coming out of closed-door cultivation would probably be at the end of the year. This year, they did not seem to have relaxed for more than a few days. Fang Ping probably would not go out at this time. It's almost the new year. Wang Jinyang was also a little absent-minded. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. At this time last year, Fang Ping was almost killed by the evil sect martial artists. At that time, he only had rank 5 strength. In the blink of an eye, he had rank 9 combat strength. We'll talk about it when he comes out. Is Qin Fengqing still around? Yes, he's still preparing recently. It seems like he's going on a long journey. He won't say anything even when we asked. I don't know how he came into contact with the other party. Let's ask Fong Ping when he comes out of closed-door cultivation. Wang Jinyang heard that and smiled. He nodded and said nothing. Qin Fengqing ignored them. However, if Fong Ping asked, that guy would probably tell him. Everyone was still curious about how he came into contact with that old antique. Thinking of this, Wang Jinyang suddenly looked at a figure outside the cultivation room. He raised his eyebrows slightly and chuckled. Chun Yinshi is almost at rank 7, right? Soon. Li Hansong nodded and chuckled. How's that child bride of yours now? Wang Jinyang's face darkened instantly. He glared at him. Don't think that you're so great just because you have the divine armor now. If you piss me off, I'll still hammer you to death. As the two of them talked and laughed, in the next moment, a wave of energy suddenly dispersed. The cultivation room suddenly trembled. A loud laugh was heard. Fong Ping had come out of closed-door cultivation. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 856. Dean Li, do you dare to fight me? The moment Fong Ping exited closed-door cultivation, a loud roar reverberated through the clouds. In the next moment, Li Changsheng rose into the air and chuckled. You've become arrogant. Ha ha ha. Today, I want to take the first place in rank 8. Teacher, the catacombs, or the sea? It's on the sea. Old man, Li was straightforward. Mother asterisk cur. This brat actually challenged him as soon as he came out of seclusion. On the other side, Fong Ping was grinning from ear to ear. His initial goals had been surpassed one by one, yet old man Li was still standing strong, persevering until now. Now he was still occupying the first place in rank 8, refusing to budge. If he gave him a good beating, the first place would be his, right? Thinking about him, Fong Ping, ever since he ascended to the top as a rank 3, when was he not first and invincible? Now that the old man was occupying the first place, what was the meaning of this? The smell of gunpowder was thick between the two of them. In the next second, the two of them broke through the air and headed straight for the southern district's ocean. This was the first time Fong Ping challenged Li Changsheng, an invincible powerhouse of the same rank in 3 years. Everyone was saying that Li Changsheng was invincible among his peers. No one said that Fong Ping was invincible among those of the same rank. Even if he appeared to be invincible, no one said that this fellow had too many messy tricks up his sleeves and was impure. The two of them were extremely fast, heading straight for the sea. At the same time, within the school, silhouettes emerged one after another. All of MCMAU's high-ranked powerhouses had come out. Wu Quishan had already left. Li Changsheng was MCMAU's #1 powerhouse. Even if Guo Shengquan and the other two had stepped into the origin path, they were still far from his level. As for Fong Ping, he had also defeated the origin path in the previous battle in the catacombs. Between Fong Ping and Guo Shengquan's group, everyone had a rough idea of who was stronger. Now, after Wu Quishan's departure, MCMAU's 2 strongest powerhouses were about to fight to determine the first and second rank 8. Everyone was overflowing with interest between the two of them, who was truly invincible among his peers. Lu Fengru, Tang Feng, Lu Polu, these people were all extremely fast. Many of them had looks of anticipation on their faces. They wanted to get rid of Li Changsheng. It was a disgrace for a person to be surpassed. It would be much better if there were only 2 of them. When everyone at the same level had been surpassed, and there was still a mutant that had not been surpassed, it was not good. Old man Li was an anomaly. He was considered a late bloomer. Everyone had seen Fong Ping's rapid advancement, but very few people were surprised by Li Changsheng. It was as if they thought it was only natural. However, he had forgotten that when the Nanjiang catacombs opened, Li Chongsheng was only a rank 6. Today, killing a rank 9 was like slaughtering a dog. He had killed more rank 9s than Fang Ping, but no one seemed to care about this. Come to think of it, Li Chongsheng was the real monster. At the age of 60, he burst out with a second spring, surpassing all his peers in the blink of an eye. At this moment, it was not just the high-ranked powerhouses. Suddenly, a dense crowd of people appeared in the sky. There were powerhouses in the flight stance. A large number of them were middle-ranked powerhouses. Let's go and watch the battle. At the front of the crowd, Zhang Yu shouted excitedly, "Let's go watch the battle." MCMAU's own people were fighting for first and second place. They were the most powerful group of people in this era. This was MCMAU's glory. No matter who won or lost, it was the same. In the crowd, Fang Yuan was swaying. She watched the others fly extremely fast while she was slow. She was so anxious that she was sweating profusely. Sister Yunxi, pull me, pull me." She was rank 4. During the days when Fang Ping was in closed-door cultivation, she had finished the Martial Arts University Championship. Although she was abused dozens of times, she had finally broken through in the end. During the finals, she had completed the state of collective fist force, built 2 heavens and earth, and stepped into rank 4. However, she had just entered rank 4. At this moment, Fang Yuan had used the flight stance several times and almost fell. She was so anxious that she was about to cry. Big Brother had come out of closed-door cultivation. As soon as he came out of closed-door cultivation, he challenged the longevity sword that killed rank 9s like dogs. She also wanted to watch the battle, but with her speed, it would probably be over by flying there. The most important thing was the sea. She would probably fall into the sea when she was halfway there. In front, Chun Yunxi could not help but laugh. With a wave of her hand, she grabbed Fang Yuan and soared into the sky. At the Mentality Vitality Unity realm, her speed was not much slower than the average rank 7. In the blink of an eye, thousands of people flew toward the depths of the sea. In an instant, the entire Magic City heard the news and moved. MCMAU is going to war again. At this moment, MCMAU was indeed discussing it. The word, again, was said very naturally, as if they were used to it. Nowadays, ordinary people also knew about the existence of the catacombs. They also knew that martial artists were fighting in the foreign land, risking their lives. However, among them, MCMAU was the most eye-catching. They had fought frequently. Just this year alone, they knew that MCMAU had a few large-scale battles. The Battle of Skygate, the last Magic City battle, this time the Fixed Catacombs battle. MCMAU often sent thousands of people to battle. Very soon news came. Someone used the flight stance and shouted, "Devil King Fang Ping is fighting longevity, sword Li Chongsheng for the first place in rank 8. Big news. Golden body powerhouses are fighting. Everyone, MCMAU instructors and students, are going to watch the battle. Go quickly. A top-notch golden body duel is too rare. Hurry." In the city, some powerhouses shouted one after another. They were calling friends. These were not ordinary powerhouses. Both of them had leapfrogged ranks and defeated rank 9 powerhouses when they were rank 8. This kind of battle between invincible powerhouses of the same rank, and also in the form of a duel, was more worthy of everyone watching and learning. Moreover, the so-called invincible in the same rank, naturally, there could only be one person at a time. Now, Fang Ping and Li Chongsheng were both known to be invincible in the same rank. So, who was the real invincible? Everyone was interested. They also wanted to know whether the older generation powerhouse Li Changsheng was stronger or the new generation powerhouse Fang Ping was stronger. In the blink of an eye, in Magic City, there were also many middle-ranked martial artists who used the flight stance. Some low-ranked martial artists watched with envy. Ordinary people were even more envious. This was a true immortal. This was only the middle ranks. It was said that those high-ranked martial artists could destroy heaven and earth. On Earth, they were still somewhat restrained. In the catacombs, they had destroyed countless giant cities and even broken space. This was unimaginable to ordinary people. What was the concept of space? They did not know. They only knew that martial arts powerhouses could break the void. This was a myth. In the sky above the city, someone carried a camera and could not wait, shouting, "Hurry, hurry," any later, and we won't be able to film it. Lou Dolly, who had not seen him for a long time, called his companions to hurry and film. A battle between rank 8 golden body powerhouses. In the past, he had filmed it before. However, he did not know much at that time. He was foolish and daring, secretly filming for a while across a mountain. At that time, most people did not know what rank 8 meant. Now, everyone understood. Rank 8 golden body, immortal and indestructible. Fang Ping and Li Changsheng were also the top-notch kind. It was said that they had killed countless strong enemies in the catacombs. Of course, such a battle between top-notch powerhouses had to be filmed. One by one, martial artists rushed to the sea. Middle-ranked martial artists were not fast. Flight stance was slow too. When they were still moving, Fang Ping and Old Man Li had already flight stance hundreds of miles away from Magic City. On the boundless sea, Fang Ping chuckled. "Instructor, although you are old, you are still my elder. However, martial arts must fight. Invincible in the same rank. I will definitely get it. A toad is yawning." Old Man Li stood in the air. His long hair fluttered, his hands behind his back. He smiled faintly. "Fang Ping, if you can defeat this old man, then you are really something. But do you have the ability?" "Of course I do." Fang Ping laughed heartily. "Instructor and I are both at rank 8th level. Instructor is walking the path of unification. Theoretically, this is not a fair fight. However, I can recover my imperishable substance. If I use it to fight, then it is fair. I won't bully you, Instructor. Although I have repaired the Golden House, I will not use it to bully you." Old Man Li sneered. "You can try. This old man will pierce it with a sword. Let's see how arrogant you can be." "Pierce it with a sword?" Fang Ping sighed. "Then, won't my 100,000 yuan of imperishable substance be wasted?" The corner of Old Man Li's mouth twitched. "How much?" 100,000 yuan. Motherf asterisk her. This kid's words made people feel hopeless. How much imperishable substance did a rank 8 martial artist have? This kid did not waste so much in the past. Opposite him, Fang Ping smiled brightly. Rich and willful. It was only 100,000 yuan. Only 1 billion points. What was this? If Old Man Li could break it with a sword, then he was good. "Don't worry, Instructor. I won't use the Golden House to bully you." "Humph." Old Man Li snorted softly, pretending to be calm. "So, what if it's the Golden House? Even if you use it, so what? You are not my opponent in close combat. It was just trapping the enemy. So, what if he was trapped? This old man was invincible in close combat." Fang Ping laughed. He cracked his neck, took a deep breath, and said, "Instructor, do you have a combat armor? If you don't blame me for not reminding you when you embarrass yourself later. I have one. I won't beat you until you run around naked." Old Man Li's eyebrows twitched, cursing in his heart. Where did he get a combat armor? Would it really turn out like this later? This kid's tone indicated that he was going to fight him to the end. He was full of confidence. As the two of them spoke, a large group of powerhouses arrived from behind. Lu Fengru shouted from afar, "Why do you two have so much nonsense to say? We are here. Hurry up and start." The two of them were dawdling. Were they not waiting for someone to come? Now that they were here, why not start? Fang Ping smiled and said, "Instructor, there is no hurry. My spar with Instructor Li belongs to the pinnacle battle below, the pinnacle of humanity. It is necessary for everyone to watch. As MCMU's Vice Chancellor, this is also my duty." Everyone was speechless. What a big tone. This kid Fang Ping's tone had changed after half a month of closed-door cultivation. It seemed like he had gained a lot this time. As they spoke, some rank 6 martial artists who were faster had also arrived. "Do we need to clear the area?" Lu Polu asked with a smile. Fang Ping smiled and said, "There is no need." Clearing the area was when powerhouses could not control the overflow of the residual force. As for him, that could definitely be done. It was a spar with Old Man Li. Moreover, there were so many powerhouses watching. A little residual force could be blocked. There were more and more people. Old Man Li's long hair fluttered in the wind. His hands were behind his back, looking very dashing. Fang Ping was also holding his saber with both hands. His combat boots were shiny. He was full of energy. Both of them had not made a move yet. Their auras were drawn. The sea was turbulent, wave after wave. Some middle-ranked martial artists who had just arrived were almost all rank 6. At this moment, everyone's expression was solemn. So strong. Next to Fang Ping and Old Man Li, black cracks appeared. On Earth, the Earth space was not as stable as the catacombs. However, that would require a 100,000 calories vitality outburst. This meant that both of them were actually already in a battle of auras. The area between them had also been hit, creating streaks of black cracks. Among the crowd, Guo Shengquan sighed. Suddenly, "Strong. We are inferior." Purely from the clash of auras, he had dealt a 100,000 calories vitality damage. Even if he had entered Origin Path, his vitality was currently at 120,000 calories. One stage out of Origin Path, the increase was close to 0. 1 times. His theoretical outburst strength was more than 130,000 calories. However, that was only in theory. A rank 9 powerhouses control was generally only 70%. In other words, even on Earth, if he did not wear a divine weapon, he could not actually create a space rift. If he used a divine weapon, there was still hope. A long time ago, when Li Changxing killed the Yang family's Yang, he with a sword, he had slashed a space rift. This was the longevity sword. Guo Shengquan lamented. LV Jin also said with a look of agreement, "That's why I've decided I'll still do research. I won't fight with these martial artists." After coming out from the bounded zone this time, he had been dealt a heavy blow. Previously, when he participated in the battle, he was just a bystander, and he was almost killed. Now, these two fellows' auras were overflowing, and he actually felt like he could not stand it. "I'm a rank 9, after all. This is too sad. Who will win?" At this time, Li Hansong also looked interested. Fang Ping had arranged a battle with Old Man Li as soon as he came out of closed-door cultivation. He was full of confidence, and it seemed like he had a chance of winning. Wang Jinyang pondered, saying, "Fang Ping probably has some confidence, but I think it's uncertain." Instructor Li's vitality is more than 120,000 calories. According to 240,000 calories, with the enhancement of the ultimate technique, at least 5%, that would be more than 250,000. Also, if Instructor Li uses the longevity sword, his combat strength will be even stronger, at least 260,000 calories. As for his strength control, I see that Instructor Lee has been familiarizing himself with his strength recently. I'm afraid it won't be low, at least 70%. No matter how you calculate it, his strongest outburst will not be lower than 180,000 calories. The battle between Fong Ping and Instructor Lee, it's uncertain. Li Hansong chuckled. It's hard to say. Don't forget Instructor Lee's title, One Sword Hero. This is not a battle of life and death. In a battle of life and death, Instructor Lee's sword would either kill or cripple the opponent. However, this is a battle to learn from each other. Can he really kill Fong Ping with one sword? If he doesn't kill Fong Ping with one sword, that'll be fun. Wang Jinyong sneered. Fong Ping might not recover. You already said it's a battle. If he really does that, even if he wins, it'll be hard to believe. That's true. As he said that, Li Hansong suddenly sighed. He can already fight with Instructor Lee. He's improving too fast. Old Wang, we've really been left behind. About the reversal of the origin path, do you think it's reliable? We'll talk about it when the time comes. As the two of them spoke, a thunderous roar sounded in front of them. The waves were monstrous. Bang! Fong Ping and Old Man Li exchanged blows. In the instant they exchanged blows, both of them did not use divine weapons or ultimate techniques. It was just a simple exchange of punches and kicks. Fong Ping wielded his saber with one hand. His right hand pierced through space directly, as if he had teleported. His palm slapped onto Old Man Li's fist. Old Man Li was also calm and relaxed. His footsteps cracked the void, and a punch blasted out. Cracks appeared near his fist and palm. Just this? Old Man Li shook his head. This isn't enough. Instructor, why are you in such a hurry? I'm just trying my hand. Fong Ping chuckled and kicked sideways. Old Man Li did not seem to mind, blocking with his arm. Rumble! Another thunderous sound was heard. The golden bodies collided. The bodies of the two top-notch golden body powerhouses were incomparably tough. The moment they collided, cracks cut both of them again. Black space cracks appeared again and again where the two of them exchanged blows. Fong Ping was still fine, but Old Man Li's clothes were cut off in the blink of an eye. From the robe earlier, it had become the short robe now. Fong Ping chuckled. Instructor, it's better if you wear the short robe. The long robe is a hindrance. You talk too much nonsense. Old Man Li let out a humph. With a low growl, he suddenly punched and kicked at the same time. He fought close to Fong Ping, his speed as fast as lightning. The longevity sword was not just for a swordsman. If I make a move, everything can be a sword. Without a sword in hand, the sword aura still soared to the sky. In the sky, a white cloud was obliterated by the sword aura in the blink of an eye. Rain fell. Before it could fall, it disappeared completely, evaporated by vitality. Both of them exchanged blows. The aftermath was not too strong. The waves beneath their feet rose and fell, but there was no tsunami. The aftermath was not strong. Compared to the fight with the evil sect powerhouses last time, they did not seem to be serious. However, the onlookers looked solemn. Both of them did not use any external objects. Right now, they were only fighting with their physiques. They were using basic fist techniques and basic leg techniques. The aftermath was not strong, but both of them were almost engulfed by the black space cracks. The space cracks were extremely destructive. Of course, different places had different destructive powers. Earth's side was slightly weaker. Even so, if a normal rank 9 was touched, their limbs would be cut into pieces. However, for these two people, their golden bodies were being cut with a crunching sound. It was extremely ear-piercing. However, Only streaks of blood were left. Rank 88 refinements. Many of them were shocked and sighed. Was this rank 88 refinements? An existence with vitality exceeding 120,000 calories. Many rank 9 if they did not go too far on the origin path and did not continue to hone their physiques. They might not even have 120,000 calories vitality. The weaker rank 9 only had 100,000 calories. In reality, both of their vitality were already close to 130,000 calories. Right now, both of them were exchanging punches and kicks. It seemed easy, but in reality, almost every move had a destruction degree of about 150,000 calories. Fang Ping did not absorb energy. Old man Li was like a black hole. In the surrounding waters, countless energy swarmed toward him and began to be absorbed by him. It was extremely fast, just as both of them were exchanging blows. Very soon, a figure appeared high in the sky, a few thousand meters away from them. The next moment, a few more figures appeared. The newcomers saw Wu Chuan in front of them. Someone laughed and said, "Guardian Wu, how do you feel?" Wu Chuan turned his head and took a look. He humphed. "Why are you here?" The newcomer grinned and said, "Can I come? I'm here to see the strength of these two shameless people." Just in time to confirm the accuracy of the ranking. The few people who came later were rank 8s and rank 9s. The one who spoke was a rank 9 powerhouse. He was all smiles, very happy. However, Wu Chuan said scornfully, "Can you tell? A weak rank 9 who has just entered rank 9 can casually blow you up. Can you tell the difference in strength?" The old man's expression was dark. He snorted. Wu Chuan's expression was even darker than his. He sneered and said, "I'm the 5th rank 9. Others aside, Wu Quishan is my opponent. Lin Xiaoman, a weak rank 9 like you has quite the guts." The old man was a man. When he heard Wu Quishan calling his name directly, he said unhappily, "Call me president." "Get lost." Wu Chuan cursed. "I insist on calling you by your name." "Are you unhappy?" Beside him, Vice President Liu looked calm. "Rank 9's matters will be settled by rank 9's. I finally don't have to care about it anymore. The president has broken through to rank 9. Now the president is in charge of the origin ranking. I only need to care about the other rankings. The president is asking for a beating. This is Magic City. Don't be arrogant." On MCMAU's side, there were a lot of rank 9s and origin path. The two fellows who were fighting, even if they were on the origin ranking, were probably above level 5 origin path. The president was a level 1 origin path. He should keep a low profile. Obviously, President Lin did not have this awareness. Ever since he broke through to rank 9, he was full of confidence. "I'm going to rank you Wu Quishan 5th. What can you do? I'm not afraid of you." Ignoring Wu Quishan, the old man took a step forward and looked into the distance. When he saw the black cracks appearing, the two figures could only see golden afterimages. He could not help but change his expression. "This is rank 88 refinements." Wu Chuan looked at him disdainfully. "What do you think? Rank 88 refinements is 2 refinements higher than a normal rank 8. Actually, you can see them as a level 2 origin martial artist. Moreover, both of them are prodigies. They have many tricks up their sleeves. One is myriad Dao unification. The other uses destruction matter to fight. Can you treat them as normal level 2 origin path?" President Lin nodded slightly. He said, "They're still testing the waters, right? Guardian Wu, who do you think will win?" "It depends. But I think Li Changsheng is in danger. It can't be that bad, right? Void-piercing sword art. swordsmanship powerhouses, are all about the heart to kill. Chongqing has no killing intent. He doesn't dare to fight to the death. This way, his combat strength will be reduced by 30%. Martial artists don't dare to press forward. In this aspect, he will lose. Wu Chuan shook his head. Li Chongqing could not summon any killing intent against the other party. Without killing intent, his longevity sword's combat strength would be greatly reduced. Fang Ping, this kid, could be considered an all-rounder martial artist. He could spar, he could also fight. He could deal with different opponents in different ways. Right now, this kid was neither arrogant nor rash. It seemed like Li Chongqing had a slight advantage. However, even if Fang Ping did not recover quickly, in a situation where it was not a fight to the death, Li Chongqing might not be able to defeat him. President Lin murmured, "Are they really going to change the rankings? If he surpasses Li Chongqing now, then next time." As he said that, he glanced at Wu Chuan. "Next time it's going to be you." Wu Chuan did not bat an eyelid, but he secretly gritted his teeth. "What are you looking at me for? This kid is a rank 9. I'm at the top." The dignified guardian of the South, one of the 7 leaders of the 3 departments and 4 residences. "I can't afford to lose this face." Out of the 7 leaders, the other 6 were all at the top. Thinking about it, he still shot a glance at President Lin, humphed, and said, "You're here just for the ranking?" *T. Both of them fought all of a sudden. How could President Lin and his entourage come from capital city so quickly? President Lin chuckled and said, "It's not just for the ranking. There's something else." Something else. Wu Chuan seemed to have thought of something. He nodded slightly and said, "I understand. These 2 fellows are suitable, but forget it. Let's see what they think." He said no more and continued to watch the battle. His gaze became more and more peculiar. Damn it! Did these 2 fellows have no bottom line? They were getting stronger and stronger. At this moment, above the surface of the sea, the cracks had already begun to expand. These 2 bastards seemed to have the intention of creating a space battlefield on Earth. Could it be that they were going to enter the space battlefield to fight? There was a space battlefield in the catacombs that was not cut by the cracks. Earth actually had one too. No one knew how this thing appeared. When a battle reached a certain stage, it would automatically appear. When fighting on the battlefield, it would not be affected by the cracks. However, in the catacombs, creating a space battlefield was the exclusive property of the top. On Earth, a typical 5th or 6th stage origin could not do it, right? It's more than 150,000 calories. Wu Chuan exhaled softly. Unleashing the strongest explosive force of 150,000 calories was an existence that could tear space in the catacombs. This kind of origin was also the kind of top in the catacombs. And now, both of them had done it. This was also a symbolic division. Moreover, this was not the limit of both of them. Li Chongqing could understand. Fang Ping. This brat had previously created a crack in the catacombs with all his might. Now, he looked like he was doing it with ease. Did he still have energy left? President Lin's expression was solemn, but he was cursing in his heart. What was the use of my rank? 9. Initially, he thought that he would not be threatened by these fellows anymore. But now, these 2 fellows could probably kill him easily. Damn it! That brat Fang Ping had threatened him many times. Now that he had come knocking on his door, he would not beat him up, would he? Chapter 8:57. Teacher, are you done playing? On the surface of the sea, Fang Ping was incomparably domineering. His Changdao had long disappeared. His hands tore through space, as if he had teleported, appearing in front of old man Li in the blink of an eye. He clenched his fists and hammered down. Behind him, The cracks cut the rank 8 golden armor, and the golden armor began to crack. Old Manly swept his leg and snorted, "What a waste!" Was this brat using an 8th grade divine armor as a fig leaf? If this went on a few more times, his divine armor would be cut into pieces. It was only on Earth. If they did this to the catacombs, they would have been sliced into pieces long ago. Fong Ping laughed. "It's a waste, but I can't be as shameless as my teacher." Old Man Li gritted his teeth. "You've angered me, bastard. You broke my clothes. Just you wait." As soon as he finished speaking, a blood-red glow erupted from Old Man Li's body. His vitality soared to the sky. At this moment, the eyes of many of the spectating cultivators turned red. Tears flowed from their eyes as they were stung by the pain. Seeing this, Fong Ping raised his eyebrows slightly. The old man was still the strongest. Under the eruption, he could feel a sharp aura locking onto him, as if it could strike him at any time. Fong Ping was alarmed, but he smiled and said, "Not enough. Since I can't use it here, why don't I go in and try?" Through the rift, Fong Ping could already see what looked like a black battlefield. The space battlefield had appeared. It was fine if the two of them didn't go in. They could fight freely. However, once he completely let loose, he would not be able to control himself. The surrounding cultivators would probably be in trouble. All right. Old Man Li agreed without hesitation. He struck the void with his bare hands, and a huge crack appeared. Without another word, he stepped into the crack. Seeing that, Fong Ping let out a loud laugh and entered instantly. The two of them entered the crack, and it disappeared in the blink of an eye. Seeing this scene, many people were stunned. Where is he? Many people didn't know about the space battlefield, so when they saw the two of them disappear, they were dumbfounded. At this moment, a crack suddenly appeared. The two figures seemed to appear in another void. Someone in the crowd burst into laughter. It was these two fellows who tore open the crack themselves to let others watch the battle. Otherwise, if they hid inside and fought, others probably wouldn't be able to watch the battle. In the crack of the void, on the black battlefield, the two of them moved so fast that it was impossible to tell who was who. However, Old Man Li used Vitality Force, which was mostly blood red. Fong Ping used Destruction Force, which was mostly gold. They could only see 2 flashes of light, and a faint, rumbling sound rang in everyone's ears. Outside, Guo Shangquan saw that many people were confused. He thought for a moment and said, "This is a space battlefield, exclusive to top-notch experts. When an expert's destructive power exceeds the limits of the world, a space battlefield will appear, and they will enter another void to fight." Spatial battlefield. Another void. Many people were shocked to the extreme. He even created another space. Someone couldn't hold it in any longer and whispered, "Principal Guo, can you explain the situation to us? We don't really understand it." Everyone came to watch the battle. One reason was to watch the show, and the other was that they really hoped to gain something. But at this time, the level of the two had exceeded everyone's understanding. When Guo Shengquan heard that, he smiled and said, "Principal Fong and Dean Li are still fighting barehanded, using basic combat techniques as the foundation. There's no amplification from Origin Dao, no amplification from ultimate arts and divine weapons. Right now, these two are relying purely on the foundation of their physiques to tear apart the space. They are both top-notch rank, 8 powerhouses. Right now, the destructive power of a single move is as high as 150 calories and above." Everyone was stunned again. In the crowd, Fang Yuan, who had rushed over with Chen Yunxi, was dumbfounded. 150 calories, explosive power of a single move. What kind of concept was that? Her vitality was just slightly over 1,000 calories now, and one punch was 150 square meters. Sister Yunshi, is my brother that strong now? Chun Yunshi smiled and nodded. She said, your brother is a real top-notch powerhouse now, although he and Instructor Lee are both on the rank 8 ranking. If their real strength enters the rank 9 ranking, they can at least enter the top 20. Both of them had the strength of at least rank 5 origin and above. It was still possible for them to enter the top 20, other than the 17 paragons in Sino Nation. There were not many rank 9 people who could defeat them. Fang Yuan was stunned. Was he that strong? His brother had really become the overlord of the martial arts world. The outside world was abuzz with discussion. Guo Shengquan began to explain. In the space battlefield, Fang Ping and Old Man Li were not interested in looking at the pitch-black space. They could not see anything. It was just like a cage battlefield. Once both of them entered the battlefield, they gave it their all in an instant. Without using divine weapons and ultimate arts, both of their physical strength had been unleashed to the extreme. Close to 40 yuan, Old Man Li suddenly shouted, his eyes bursting with sharp sword light. You've really gained a lot, kid. It's similar to the void-piercing swordsmanship. Your strength control has reached close to 70%. Fang Ping laughed. 70%? Not yet, almost. My destructive power is as high as 63 yuan. If it's 70%, it should reach 44 yuan and above. It shouldn't be difficult to defeat Instructor. Although it was only a difference of a few yuan, it was a difference of tens of thousands of cal. Old Man Li snorted softly. Dream on. Do you really think I'm scared? I'll beat you up first. Kid. Void piercing. Old Man Li growled. He did not draw his sword, but his palm was like a sword slashing toward Fang Ping. Fang Ping raised his fist and punched. Boom. Crack. Old Man Li's palm was incomparably sharp, cutting Fang Ping's right fist in an instant, leaving a huge scar. Fang Ping's expression changed slightly. A rank 8/8 refinement golden body could not block the old man's palm sword. The palm sword just now probably had more than 180,000 calories of destructive power. That's it. Fang Ping had just finished speaking when Old Man Li's laughter rang in his ear. That's it. Crack. Old Man Li's figure was like a ghost, appearing above Fang Ping's head in the blink of an eye, slamming his palm down. Fang Ping tilted his head, evading Bai Hui. Boom. There was a loud explosion. The palm sword hit Fang Ping until he saw stars. Fang Ping took the opportunity to hang upside down, flipped, and kicked backward, the tip of his foot jabbing into Old Man Li's palm. Crack! It was as if something had shattered. Old Man Li swung his palm, tossing out a smear of blood. He laughed. Your reflexes aren't slow. Of course. Fang Ping shook his head. I've participated in so many battles. After all, how can I be so weak? Kid, I don't have your ability to shield energy in the space battlefield. I don't have enough energy reserves. I'm going to go all out now. Old Man Li was getting anxious after failing to take him down a few times. In a war of attrition, the chances of him being killed were as high as 99%. He could not afford to waste time. After a few times, he had unleashed his full strength. Although he was absorbing energy as he fought after entering the space battlefield, there was no more energy left to absorb. If he unleashed his strength like this a few more times, he would run out of energy and fight with his body. When that happened, there was a high chance that he would be beaten up by Fang Ping. Then I'll go all out. Fang Ping laughed loudly. A Changdao appeared in his hand. As soon as the Changdao appeared, the old man opposite him also had a long sword appear instantly. With a long sword in hand, Old Man Li's aura changed completely. It was incomparably fierce. Kill. The old man's murderous aura flared up instantly. He slashed with his sword. Before the sword reached him, a clear cut appeared on Fong Ping's forehead. All right. Fong Ping gritted his teeth. The old man had actually unleashed his murderous intent. He was going to fight with his life. I'll beat you to death. Crack! This was Fong Ping's shout. With a roar, the saber glow illuminated the entire space battlefield. You can do it, so can I. You're showing off in front of an expert, Old Manly sneered. Before Fong Ping's Changdao landed, Old Man Li's silhouette flickered suddenly, and the longsword had already landed. Pooh! Creak! An ear-piercing sound rang out. Fong Ping's skull was sliced open directly. A sword mark almost split him into two halves. Fong Ping's saber had also landed on Old Man Li's left shoulder. The saber cut into the bone, and the sound of golden bone cracking could be heard. Both of them took a step back at the same time. Fong Ping's skull, that had been sliced open, recovered instantly. He scolded, "Old man, are you going to kill me?" "Cut the crap. Aren't you the same? You won't die," Old Manly said, then said, "Give me a few thousand yuan of imperishable substance first. I'll fight while I recover." What you? Hurry up, or I won't fight anymore. You, hurry up. Old Man Li was very arrogant. Hurry up and give me, or I won't fight with you anymore. Your injury recovers so quickly. How am I supposed to fight? Fong Ping gritted his teeth, but he tossed out a ball of imperishable substance. Old Man Li swallowed it instantly, and the injury on his right shoulder healed in the blink of an eye. Only then did he laugh. You can't do it. Remember, the enemy isn't a dead person. I can't beat you, but can I just avoid it? As he said that, he closed in again. The longsword appeared and disappeared like a ghost. In the blink of an eye, it broke through Fong Ping's defense, and the sword pierced Fong Ping's throat. Pooh! Pierced! Old Man Li's sword pierced through Fong Ping's throat. Fong Ping's throat gurgled, and blood gushed out. However, it shot out like a sharp arrow, shooting toward Old Man Li in an instant. Insignificant skill. You think Old Man Li was very arrogant. He thought that Fong Ping was going to use this to fight back. Just as he said that, his vision suddenly went black. Fong Ping's blood instantly turned into a huge screen. It did not attack him. Instead, it blocked his line of sight and diverted his attention. At this moment, Fong Ping's left hand grabbed the longsword that had pierced through his throat. His right hand held the saber, and as fast as lightning, he slashed at Old Man Li's right arm that was holding the sword. The fast old man, Li was still preparing to receive his blood arrow. Rumble! Flesh and blood splattered. Old Man Li pulled the sword out and retreated. At this moment, the upper half of his right arm was completely devoid of flesh and blood. A clear saber mark was left on his bones. "Brat, you've learned to play dirty." Old Man Li laughed. "Not bad, but it's a pity that you didn't manage to chop off my right arm. Looks like you're still not good enough." Fong Ping touched his throat and humphed. "I see that you're old. I'm just afraid that you'll look bad if you lose your arm." "That's all you've got." Old Man Li laughed. His expression turned serious in an instant. Heart. Hum. The sound of a sword's hum shook the void. Fong Ping's eardrums suddenly felt extremely uncomfortable. He felt dizzy and his mentality was affected. A piercing pain in his heart told him that Old Man Li was really piercing his heart. "You can't pierce through my flesh." Fong Ping roared. His Changdao pierced through the air and slashed at his right arm again. The sound of flesh being pierced rang out. Old Man Li's sword pierced his heart, but his expression changed. He cursed loudly. "Motherf Aster's cur, you bastard! Rumble! Crack!" The bones of his right arm were sliced in half. As for Fong Ping, there was a hole in his chest, but his heart could not be seen. The next moment, Fong Ping's body swayed. His heart suddenly moved from the right side of his chest to the left, returning to its original position. Fong Ping said scornfully, "Do you think I'm that stupid?" At his level, his control over his flesh was too high. His heart felt pressure, so he moved it immediately. The old man must be stupid. Although he was a rank 8 powerhouse and his heart had turned into a golden body, if it was really broken, the energy would still leak out and the pain would be unbearable. This was the opportunity for the opponent to kill you. However, Fong Ping only allowed the long sword to pierce his chest. It did not hurt any vital parts. Instead, it was only a small injury. However, when he slashed with his saber, Old Man Li's right arm was really fractured. The golden bone was almost completely broken. As the two of them fought, outside, Fang Yuan waited for them to stop and suddenly screamed. In the blink of an eye, Old Man Li had chopped off Fong Ping's skull, pierced through his throat, and pierced through his chest. For a middle-ranked martial artist, such injuries would definitely kill him. It was Fang Yuan's first time seeing such a scene. He did not see it clearly before, but when the two of them stopped and saw it clearly, he could not help but scream. The old man wanted to kill Big Bro. This was too ruthless. The others knew more or less. They also knew that a rank 8 powerhouse would not die so easily. However, at this moment their hearts stopped, and they felt like they could not breathe. Soon, someone exhaled and said, "So fast, so strong. Vice-Chancellor Fang is no match for Dean Li." Fong Ping's defeat was too obvious. His skull, throat, and heart were all pierced through. The disadvantage was obvious. However, among the crowd, a few rank 9 powerhouses gathered at this moment looked solemn. Wu Chuan said in a low voice, "I'm afraid Chongqing is going to suffer a setback." Fong Ping looked like he was seriously injured, but his bones were not hurt. It was just a flesh wound. Fong Ping continuously slashed at Old Man Li's right arm, but he had really chopped off the golden bone of his right arm. Li Chongsheng held the sword in his right hand. Although at his level, he did not need to hold the sword in his hand, but this was the difference between powerhouses. Fong Ping used a flesh wound in exchange for chopping off the golden bone of his right arm. If this went on, Li Chongqing's first place among rank 8 might really be a little uncertain. Guo Shengquan also said with a strange expression, "Vice-Chancellor Fang's closed-door cultivation this time has really gained a lot. Not only is his strength control close to 70%, but I see that his current battle seems to be more orderly than before." Advancing step by step, constantly weakening Dean Li's advantage. At the cost of injuries, he chopped off his golden bone. This is not luck. In the past, when Fong Ping fought, there was only one word: reckless. Anyway, he did not lack energy. He was not afraid of injuries. As long as he could not kill him, he would just force himself on you. However, this time, when Fong Ping fought, advancing step by step, it seemed like he did not recover much. The number of times he used his recovery ability had decreased, and he was still paying more attention to strategy during the battle. Li Chongqing seemed to have not adapted to Fong Ping's new fighting style, unexpectedly falling into his trap for a while. The few of them looked at each other, a little surprised. If this went on, Li Chongqing might really be dragged to death by this kid. It was not that his recovery was dragging, but Li Chongqing's injuries were slightly more serious than Fong Ping's. Even if both sides were at the same level and had similar combat strength, in the end, based on injuries, Old Man Li would probably lose, unable to outlast Fong Ping. Wu Chuan suddenly cursed under his breath. "You're so young. Why are you learning combat experience, combat tactics? Just continue to be reckless." You're not reckless anymore. You're starting to learn from us old guys. It's very stressful. Before this, everyone still had an advantage in front of Fong Ping. No matter how high your rank is, how much strength do you control? When you fight, do you have any order to speak of? Other than recovering yourself and dragging others to death, what else do you know? That sense of superiority, although envious and jealous of Fong Ping's recovery ability, we also have an advantage, the advantage of age. You young people won't understand. But now we're done for. This bastard is starting to walk the path of a proper martial artist. If this goes on, the next time we meet, we will really be hung up and beaten by this kid. At the side, President Lin chuckled, looking at Wu Chuan again. 8-stage origin, basic vitality, 150,000 calories, 0. 8 times increase, 80% strength control, 5% divine weapon, antique art, combat strength at full power, peak outburst close to 220,000 calories vitality strength. Guardian Wu, a powerhouse ranked 5th in the origin realm. If it was before, even if Fong Ping's outburst was stronger than yours, he might not be your opponent. But now, ha ha ha, if Fong Ping went on like this, he would not lack combat experience. He would also have a method to fight. At the same level of outburst, if his physique was stronger than Wu Chuan's, when that time came, he would probably beat Wu Chuan up. And this, it seemed like it was not far away, right? Now, Fong Ping's peak outburst seemed to be close to 200,000 calories vitality strength. Wu Chuan humphed. Combat strength only depends on this? Did I get these few decades of combat experience for nothing? What a joke. No matter how many times Fong Ping entered the catacombs, how many times had he fought? Did he know what prediction was? When you slash, I already knew and dodged. Do you think you can hit me? No matter how strong an outburst is, what's the use? Just as they were talking, in the next second, in the space battlefield, Fong Ping suddenly stepped into the air. The moment he stepped into the air, a long sword appeared abruptly at the place he left. Old Man Li let out a huh, then laughed. Prediction? No, combat instinct. Fong Ping laughed. This is talent. In the past, I just disdained it. Not that I can't. I just disdained dodging. What are you bragging about? Old Man Li cursed. Did you think I didn't know you? But this kid improved really fast. Fong Ping laughed again. I'm not bragging. I'm a genius. I'm serious. God, Old Man Li wanted to curse, but he quickly shut his mouth. Motherf asterisk cur. He could not curse. He was really a genius. 21 years old, practicing martial arts for less than 3 years. At this stage, if you said that Fong Ping was not a genius, then these old guys would really be trash. Both of them chatted, but it did not delay the battle. After all, Old Man Li was rich in combat experience. At this moment, he was much more alert. After many attacks, Fong Ping's injuries also increased. He became alert. Fong Ping was also holding back his naughtiness. From the beginning to the end, he only did one thing, and that was to break your right arm. Old Man Li's right arm was chopped again and again. Finally, with a crack, it broke completely. His right arm fell. This time, Fong Ping chopped off his right arm. The moment his right arm fell, Old Man Li suddenly held the sword in his left hand and cursed, "Little bastard, do you really think I'm a right-handed swordsman?" Before he finished speaking, Old Man Li held the sword and slashed down. This slash was so fast that almost no one could see it clearly. Fong Ping did not see it clearly either. Rumble! Crack! Fong Ping's skull was severely injured. Before he could rejoice over chopping off Old Man Li's right arm, his skull was severely injured. In the next second, Old Man Li stabbed with his sword almost continuously. Fong Ping had nowhere to evade this stab. Old Man Li's sword pierced his throat once again, sending him flying backward and nailing him to the battlefield. Fang Ping was just about to leap up and fight again when in the next second, Old Man Li suddenly appeared outside the crevice. Outside the crevice, Old Man Li was calm and collected. He reattached his right arm and recovered in the blink of an eye. He smiled faintly. This guy is not weak. It will be a little difficult to defeat him. As he said that, he shook his head and disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the next moment, Fang Ping broke through the air and scolded, "Old bastard! I'm so angry!" What Old Man Li did just now was the final radiance of the setting sun. Although it looked like Fang Ping was at a disadvantage, with his skull smashed and his throat nailed to the ground, Fang Ping's injuries were not bad. The old man, on the other hand, was now exhausted. If he did not recover, Fang Ping could definitely beat him until he hugged his head and cried. But the old man was too cunning. He nailed Fang Ping to the battlefield in a domineering manner and then ran away. He did not want to fight anymore. Shameless! Fang Ping's face was full of grief and indignation. This was the battle that made me famous. But now, looking at the martial artists around him, it was obvious that they did not think the same way. These guys might not have understood anything. They only knew that Fang Ping was brutally beaten by Li Changsheng. His skull was smashed, and he was nailed to the ground by a longsword. It was too tragic. As for Li Changsheng, his only injury was a broken arm. To them, having an arm to beat Fang Ping to this state was obviously a great advantage. In the crowd, Fang Yuan saw that her brother seemed to be very angry and quickly shouted, "Brother, you're the best. You fought with Dean. Li liked this. Even though you lost, you're still very strong." Fang Ping almost wanted to pinch her to death. "Are you my sister? If you don't have a good don't talk nonsense. When you say that, those who don't know might really think that I lost." As expected, the next moment, someone in the crowd said, "Vice Chancellor Fang is already very strong. He can actually fight with Longevity's sword to this extent and even cut off one of his arms. He's really strong." Yeah, Dean Li is in existence who once killed a rank 9 with 3 swords. This time, he actually defeated Vice Chancellor Fang after 1,000 moves and even cut off an arm. The crowd discussed animatedly. Fang Ping felt wronged. "You bastards. If you don't have the ability, don't pretend to know everything, okay? I'm going to win." Fang Ping suddenly looked at Wu Chuan, his face full of anticipation. "You guys must know. Hurry up and say it. Tell everyone I actually won." Wu Chuan ignored him. President Lin looked around and did not seem to see him. "You lost. We won't let you surpass Li Changsheng now. Otherwise, we'll lose our cover." No one understood it anyway. Who said that Li Changsheng lost? Ask the people here. Do they believe it? Guo Shengquan wanted to say something, but stopped. Wu Chuan winked at him. "Don't talk nonsense. Fang Ping lost. If he knocked Li Changsheng down, this guy's ego would soar to the sky." Guo Shengquan laughed dryly. The next moment, Wu Chuan telepathically said to Fang Ping, "Don't be indignant. He didn't use a killer move. Otherwise, do you really think you can win him?" Fang Ping was gloomy. "Nonsense. I was sparring. I have a killer move too. Did I self-destruct the House of Gold? Really? The old man lost, so be it. He wanted to save his face. In the end, he ruined my face. Am I shameless? How humiliating." There were so many people watching the battle. Initially, he wanted to get the first place after coming out of closed-door cultivation. Now it's great. Second place is secured. No one will believe me if I say I'm strong. Forget it. Fang Ping sighed, helplessly. He had to save some face for the old man. He could leave the rank 8 first place to him. "The next time we fight for the rank 9 first place, you won't be as fast as me, right? Everyone, disperse." Fang Ping shouted and laughed. "It's just sparring. Don't take it seriously. January 22nd. Fang Ping came out of closed-door cultivation and fought Li Changsheng. They entered the space battlefield and lost. The Devil King was no match for the longevity sword. However, after the battle, the South Guardian commented that both of them had the strength of the top 20 in Origin Path. Both were true invincible rank, 8 powerhouses. As one of Sino Nation's leaders, Wu Chuan's comment was highly credible. Everyone agreed with this point. Both of them really had the strength of the top 20 in rank 9. This year, Fang Ping was 21 years old. Li Changsheng was 61 years old. From the ranking list, Fang Ping was the youngest. Old man Li was the second youngest. A battle between 2 young people. This news spread rapidly. Not long after Fang Ping and the rest returned to MCMAU, the topic of a battle between 2 young people became a hot topic. Fang Ping suddenly did not feel wronged anymore. He only had the urge to laugh. A battle between 2 young people, this topic was good. Chapter 858. In the big conference hall, Wu Chuan arrived a step later. Old man Li had already returned to normal. He glanced at Wu Chuan, snorted softly, and said nothing. Comment my ass. You're the young one. The news spread extremely fast. Everyone had just returned to MCMAU when the outside world started spreading it. It was all because of Wu Chuan, the shameless bastard, talking nonsense in front of the reporters who rushed there. Wu Chuan looked indifferent. As the Guardian, what's wrong with me commenting on you guys? He found a place to sit, minding his own business. Fang Ping had also returned to normal. President Lin and the others were also seated. When Wu Chuan arrived, President Lin smiled and said, "Congratulations, Vice-Chancellor Fang." In this battle, although Fang Ping and Li Changsheng were just sparring, after this battle, Fang Ping had also truly demonstrated the strength of Origin Path. It was his own combat strength that had reached the Origin Path level, not relying on external objects or methods like self-detonation. Fang Ping was still in a good mood. He chuckled and said, "Congratulations to you two. I haven't had the time to congratulate the president for entering rank 9. President Lin smiled bitterly, helplessly. Don't congratulate me. If I did, where would I hide my face?" Wu Chuan interrupted. "Old Lin, you didn't have this attitude before. I remember that when you first arrived, the first thing you said was that 2 shameless bastards were competing. You're here to see the shameless bastard." As soon as he said that, President Liu, who was seated at the side, shrunk his body. This had nothing to do with him. The dignified Guardian was starting to sow discord. If the president was beaten to the ground, he would not care. "I've only just entered rank 8. President Liu, who used to think that rank 8 was out of reach, now really felt that rank 8 was only. This kid Fang Ping, a few times, said that he wanted to sneak up on me. You rank 9 powerhouses go ahead and chat, pretend that I don't exist. President Lin's smiling face stiffened. Why is Wu Chuan so talkative? You're a guardian, after all. Why are you so narrow-minded? What's wrong with Sino Nation? From top to bottom, there's not a single good person. It's fine if I don't quit this stupid president. I've been in charge of the ranking for the past 2 years. Everyone was dissatisfied with my ranking. I thought that a rank 9 would be able to withstand the pressure. Now it seems maybe it's better for me to resign. President Lin glanced at Wu Chuan, then at Fang Ping and Li Changsheng, who seemed to be smiling. He coughed dryly and said that, let's get down to business. Let's talk business. Let's cut to the chase. This time, we came to Shanghai for something. President Lin regained his smile and acted as if he hadn't heard those words. He quickly said, "Principal Fong, Dean Li, Elder Lin, there's something wrong with the way you address me." Old man, Li seemed to be picking a fight on purpose. He grinned and said, "I'm still this kid's teacher and senior. You're such a snob. Just because he's young and has a higher position than me, you're calling him that? Isn't that inappropriate?" A long sword appeared in old man Li's hand. He caressed the long sword as if he was polishing it. He sighed, "The human heart is not what it used to be." President Lin's head was about to explode. F***CK. He had fallen into a thief's lair. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have come. Unfortunately, it was too late now. Suppressing his desire to fight this guy one-on-one, President Lin coughed again and said, "Li," just as he was about to continue addressing Fong Ping, he saw that Fong Ping was also rubbing his palms together. He was so angry that his face turned green. "Fine, I won't address you anymore. Let's get down to business. This is what happened." President Lin went straight to the point and said quickly, "The World Martial Arts Association contacted all parties this time and invited peak rank 8 powerhouses from various countries and holy lands, as well as some rank 9s who have yet to officially enter the origin path for a meeting. The main thing is to discuss the matter of the King Battleground. It just so happens that MCMAU's rank 8 number 1 and number 2 are both here. Lu Zhan is also a powerhouse who has yet to enter the origin path." When it came to business, President Lin became much more serious. He put on an attitude that said, "If you dare interrupt, I won't talk anymore," forcing everyone to forget what happened just now. Fong Ping could not help but laugh. He said quickly, "President, continue. Gathering peak rank 8 and weak rank 9 martial artists to discuss the matter of the King Battleground. If that's the case, the various countries and holy lands still want a piece of the pie in the King Battleground." President Lin nodded and said, "I'm afraid that's what they're thinking. Right now, the King Battleground has yet to be completely destroyed. Powerhouses who have officially entered the origin path are still unable to enter. This matter concerns the 2 kings of the catacombs. All the holy lands have been exploring the King Battleground all these years. Now that it's the final stage, no one will give up easily." Fong Ping asked curiously, "Why is this matter managed by the Martial Arts Association?" President Lin looked at him in surprise. After a while, he said, "The Martial Arts Association. You can actually understand it as the Foreign Affairs Department. We're a link between martial arts powerhouses from various countries and the Holy Lands." This fellow Fong Ping, other than knowing the ranking, did he care about anything else? The existence of the Martial Arts Association was to coordinate matters between martial artists from various countries. This fellow actually asked why they were in charge. Nonsense, it's not our business. How did you participate in the youth competition previously? President Lin cursed in his heart, but he put on a smile on his face. Forget it. He could not beat this kid, so he should just resign himself to fate. Old man Li did not care about this. Instead, he said slightly solemnly, "The 2 kings of the King Battleground have awakened. They're all top-notch powerhouses among the true kings. At this time, all the holy lands actually want a piece of the pie. Isn't this valuing money over life?" Old man Li was slightly displeased. It was extremely dangerous inside now. If a rank 8 or 9 powerhouse went in now, it would be no different from sending themselves to death. President Lin thought for a while before saying, "This news has just come from the World Martial Arts Association. Minister Zhang and the rest are not here now. I've asked Deputy Minister Wu and Deputy Commander-in-Chief Li. They said that we can participate. Whether we go or not will be discussed later." What Wu Quishan and Li Daong meant was that they should join first to take a look, just in case they missed out on any important information. As for whether they could enter or not, That would be discussed later. Beside him, Wu Chuan asked, "What does Star Town mean?" The reply from Star Town's side is that they want to participate. Moreover, it's best if they can lead this operation. President Lin laughed. "You guys know that Star Town has been exploring the King Battleground for 100 years. They've always been fighting in the King Battleground. At this time, at the last moment, they won't give up." "That's true." Wu Chuan nodded. He was not surprised. Star Town's high-ranked martial artists were almost all fighting in the King Battleground. Now that the two kings had really appeared, they would definitely not give up. Fang Ping thought for a while and said, "What exactly is inside the King Battleground?" "If it's for the two kings, it's useless for us to go in. The Catacombs' true kings are also thinking of joining forces to break through the King Battleground. I don't think it's too difficult. But with so many people scheming, could it be that they're all trying to seize the two kings' Dao?" President Lin laughed. "I'm really not too sure about this, but all the Holy Lands should know. I don't think it's just for the two kings. Of course, maybe it's also because of that. All of you know that the two kings are actually powerhouses under the Demon Emperor's command. They've experienced the Emperor era. They knew too much. And it even included some secrets related to the monarch realm. Also, the key point is President Lin's tone was solemn. They might know what the seed of rebirth is. According to the information from the catacombs, the seed of rebirth appeared after the Demon Emperor's demise. This means that the two kings have experienced this scene. How long have the two kings lived? They might have lived longer than the bounded boundaries. During the Demon Emperor era, the bounded boundaries didn't seem to have appeared. These two old antiques are indeed very important. They might be insiders back then. Maybe they'll have some clues. Fang Ping shook his head. That's not something we can participate in. The two kings' combat strength is comparable to the suppressing Heavenly King. They belong to the top true king powerhouses. People like us are considered strong in the eyes of ordinary martial artists. When we're in front of them, they can kill us with a single blow. Wu Chuan said thoughtfully, "The two kings might not have completely recovered now, or they might not be able to make a move. The most troublesome thing about the King Battleground is the massive chaotic origin path. It's incomparably powerful. Now, all the Holy Lands suddenly want to gather everyone for a discussion. I think they might know that the two kings are restricted and want to use this opportunity to achieve some goals." Fang Ping looked at him strangely. Wu Chuan was a little annoyed by the stare. He raised his eyebrows. "What's wrong?" "That, Senior Wu, you're one of the 7 leaders of Sino Nation. Why do I feel like you're guessing everything? Don't you have any right to know?" The entire hall fell silent. Wu Chuan's expression was very pleasant. What did he mean? After a while, Wu Chuan huffed and puffed. "I only care about the southern catacombs. Everything else has nothing to do with me. That's what it is, understand? I don't care about anything else." Cough, cough. "There's nothing I can do about it." As the least experienced guardian of the southern catacombs, he lacked strength, experience, and was the youngest. Among the 7 leaders, he indeed had the least right to know. Moreover, this concerned the Holy Lands of Star City. He had never come into contact with Star City before. Those fellows would only look for the 3 departments to solve their problems when they came out. They would not look for him. Fang Ping saw that his words had made old Wu's face darken. He hurriedly gestured with his fists and held back his laughter. He continued, "Let's not talk about Senior Wu for now. President Lin, now all the parties mean to let the peak rank 8 and the weak rank 9 meet first. Don't tell me they want all of us to enter the King Battleground. Gathering us in advance is to discuss how to profit. I'm not sure about this for now. This time, the convener is the pantheon of gods." President Lin explained, "This time, most of the peak rank 8 in Star City have left with a few ministers. The pantheon of gods is currently the strongest. They also have the god of war, the sun god, and a few others. So this time, they're the leaders. The World Martial Arts Association wants to gather first. We'll discuss the specifics when we arrive. What's the location? It's not decided yet. The time is almost after the new year. Now, all the parties are seeking the opinions of peak rank 8 and rank 9 martial artists to see how many they can gather. President Lin explained once again, at the level of peak rank 8, they could not be gathered with just a summons. Take MCMAU, for example. He personally came to invite them. In the era when the peak rank 8 did not appear, these people were the overlords of a region. Sino Nation was slightly better. In some countries, a weak rank 9 was already the ruler of a country. Without personally inviting them, it was almost impossible to expect them to come with just a few words. Pantheon of gods. Fong Ping's gaze flickered slightly. Speaking of Pantheon of gods, I thought of someone. Zayli Caro returned to Pantheon of gods last time. How is he now? That evil sect's third elder was not a real evil sect member. Li Zhu's pawn. Fong Ping had also told old Zhang. He did not know how old Zhang arranged it. Zayli Caro, I know about this. Wu Chuan finally knew about it this time. He smiled and said, Zayli Caro is still in Pantheon of Gods. There are some things that the ministers have arranged. He is Li Zhu's pawn. As for us, we still have some common goals with Li Zhu. Before the all-out war starts, Zayli Caro is not a threat, but an important link. That's why we can't kill him now. Li Zhu. Speaking of Li Zhu, Fong Ping frowned. This time, Andes and Totem City lost 2 peak rank 8 powerhouses. Although our relationship with the other Holy Lands is average, everyone's goal is still the same. There are not many human peak rank 8 to begin with. 2 of them fell at once, and it's all because of Li Zhu. This guy hides at the back and takes all the advantages. Can't we let him suffer a big loss? He was very vigilant towards Li Zhu. This guy is either stupid or he's truly ambitious. After a few incidents, Fong Ping felt that this guy was even more cunning than old Zhang. He was one of the chess players that Fong Ping knew on the surface. This guy had led a few major events and caused the death of many true kings. Mystic Jade, True King, 2 of the human peak rank 8. The deaths of these people were all related to him. A guy who did not show any strength, hiding at the back and casually manipulating things, caused a huge impact. This matter depends on the peak rank 8's opinion. Wu Chuan laughed. No matter how angry you are, it's useless. He hides in the depths of the catacombs. You can't do anything to him. President Lin was not very clear about these things and did not want to talk about these things. He said again, Vice Chancellor Fong, then I've informed your side. When the specific time and place are arranged, you can go and participate. Fong Ping said directly, I won't go overseas. It's fine in the country. There are peak rank 8 powerhouses overseas who can threaten my life. The catacombs arrest warrant is still there. I'm not at ease. In the country, he was not afraid of anything. However, when he was overseas, in someone else's territory, as long as there were peak rank 8 who thought that taking him down would benefit them, he would not be able to resist. Fong Ping said again, it's not just me, Instructor Li too. Dean Lu too. The suppression cannon he created was seen by many people this time, including some powerhouses from the 5 Holy Lands. If he goes overseas, what if those people want to obtain the manufacturing method of the suppression cannon and force him to tell them? President Lin, you should communicate with the World Martial Arts Association about this. It's best to hold it in Sino Nation. President Lin pondered for a moment, then said, all right, then I'll go back and communicate with all parties. The pantheon of gods wants to go to Europe. This time, their peak rank 8 might appear. If it's in Sino Nation, their peak rank 8 might not come. Let's discuss it first. We'll inform everyone when there's a decision. All right. Fong Ping nodded, but he was calculating in his heart. This time, the human parties had ideas about the King Battleground. Ji Yao also had ideas about Destiny Royal Court. In that case, maybe they could really work together this time. Will they send people in too? Fong Ping was slightly doubtful. Would it be useful to go in now, even if the two kings were restricted and could not fight in the King Battleground? What else was there that was worth the peak rank 8's attention? Since martial artists below the origin path were allowed to enter, it might not be for the two kings themselves. All these years, these people have been letting martial artists explore the King Battleground. The ruins are only one aspect. There's probably another purpose. Others might not know, but Warlord and the others should know. Fong Ping was sure that the peak rank 8 of Stars City might know why. The peak rank 8 of the 6 Great Holy Lands should know. Otherwise, they would not let their descendants enter the King Battleground for so many years, especially the rank 9. Some people deliberately did not walk out of the origin path just to stay in the King Battleground. I'll probably know after asking the people in Star Town. Fong Ping did not think about this anymore. Whether to go to the King Battleground or not, it was up to him. The two kings were inside. If he was not 100% sure that these two fellows would not attack, Fong Ping would not step in easily. At his current level, Fong Ping was not too afraid, even if it was a top-notch origin path, unless he was a powerhouse. Although there was a high probability that he would not be a match for the other party, it would not be easy for the other party to kill him. However, he was too far away from the true king realm. He was not a match for them. After discussing these matters for a while, President Lin said, "There's one more thing I want to remind Vice Chancellor Fong. The World Martial Arts Association also wants to trade some resources with you this time." They specifically mentioned it once. President Lin smiled and said, "Everyone knows about your reputation as a treasure of many treasures. Actually, we can still give it a try. These holy lands have also guarded the catacombs for many years. The North, South, East, and West territories are slightly different. Some things are specialties of each territory. Some of these holy lands' peaks have lived for a long time. They don't always guard Mount Royalty. If you trade, you might be able to exchange for something that will help you." Fong Ping nodded slightly. This can be done. Multi-party exchanges are beneficial to the improvement of martial arts. The trading platform I set up previously was actually for this purpose. However, there are not many powerhouses in each country. The Holy Lands are not involved. These fellows are self-sufficient. They don't seem to have any intention of participating. So I gave up. Fong Ping said with a smile, "Since they have this idea, then we can try. However, I don't have anything good on hand now. I'll see." Fong Ping was not in a hurry. It was okay if he did not have anything good on hand. If he really wanted to barter, if he saw something good, and the other party did not want the energy stones, he could also go into the catacombs to look and get something back to trade. After discussing these, Fong Ping looked at Wu Chuan and asked with a smile, "President Lin is here for this. Senior Wu, you're not here just to watch the battle, are you?" Wu Chuan came very quickly. The Southern House of Guardians was not in Magic City. It was somewhere else. He came so quickly. He was probably not here to watch the battle. Wu Chuan answered, "I'm here this time for two things. First, to borrow troops." Wu Chuan laughed. Currently, Magic City's catacombs have been defeated. A large number of powerhouses in MCMAU are idle. However, there are many catacombs in the south. Now, there is some pressure in other places. Therefore, my idea is to see if some of MCMU's powerhouses can go to the other catacombs in the south to fight. Dean Chengenhua and the others need to fight now. They need to improve in battle. It's not a good idea to stay in MCMAU all the time. As soon as he said this, Old Manly said directly, "This is not a problem. Actually, they've also prepared for this. Since the crisis in Magic City has been eliminated, other than a portion of those who stayed behind, the rest can go on expeditions everywhere." That's good. Wu Chuan was also quite happy. With a combat strength like MCMAU, the pressure on the catacombs in the south would be greatly reduced. However, which side MCMAU would support would depend on the wishes of MCMAU's powerhouses. Fortunately, the other bosses of the 3 departments and 4 houses had all left. He was still here now. Moreover, he was from MCMAU. It was like the pavilion closest to the water enjoys moonlight first. Second, it's related to Fang Ping. Wu Chuan thought for a while before saying, "Actually, it's about senior brother Tian." Senior brother Tian was seriously injured in this battle. Now, he's almost crippled. Although he's different from the others and didn't faint, his mentality is almost dead now. He can't even walk the origin path anymore. I heard that previously Fang Ping sent a holy fruit that might be able to heal injuries over to MCMAU. In the end, it was rejected by senior brother Tian. I'm also a little selfish. My idea is that since the others have been taken away by the few ministers, it's better to give the thing to senior brother Tian first. Wu Chuan sighed softly. Honestly, if injuries can really be healed, of course, it would be better to give it to Old Kong. If he recovers, his combat strength will be extremely strong. It will be more helpful to Sino Nation. That's probably what senior brother Tian is thinking. But this time, I really want to be selfish for once. Old Kong and the others are miserable, but senior brother Tian has been worse all these years. His entire family, old and young, have died in battle. Now that he's a cripple, what should we do? His whole life, he's been fighting in the catacombs. Now that he's a cripple, are you going to let him retire? This isn't retirement. This is waiting for death. His essence, chi, and spirit are all gone. Wu Chuan sighed. I went to see him once. His condition is very bad. His hair is snow white. He's old in one night. My heart doesn't feel good. His mentality is even more serious than when Changsheng was injured. I'm afraid this isn't something that can be healed by ordinary things. All of you know that when I was in school, I actually stayed for many years. Before I became the Guardian of the South, I spent most of my time in MCMAU. Back then, senior brother Tian even taught me for a period of time. He's considered half a teacher to me. His lover, children, and grandchildren have all died in battle. He's the only one left in his family, old and young. Now that even he's like this, he might as well have died in battle in the catacombs. Wu Chuan felt bad as he spoke. He sighed again. Since he's not dead, Fang Ping seems to have obtained a treasure that can heal injuries. That's why I still want to mention this. Fang Ping felt bad too. He said helplessly, "Previously, I sent someone to send it to senior brother Tian. He refused no matter what. He said he's a weak rank, 9. If he's crippled, then so be it. When the minister and the rest are back, try to pick a stronger one to heal him." Senior brother Tian's personality is also a man of his word. It's not that I don't want to agree to this. I have no choice. Fang Ping had his own selfish motives too. Of course, he also wanted to save these powerhouses who were injured this time. Moreover, this old man was indeed very miserable. He had been fighting all his life. The Tian family, old and young, had all died in battle in the catacombs. Now, he himself was also a cripple. However, Tian Mu felt that his ability was weak. It did not matter whether he recovered or not, so he rejected directly. That Wu Chuan was a little embarrassed. Even his voice was much weaker. He said a little hoarsely, "What I mean is, it's not just that healing holy fruit that Pine King's origin Tao." He could not even say this out loud. What he meant was that Fong Ping should give that to Tianmu too. But this was a true king's origin Tao. Even some top-ranked nines would be jealous of this item. If Fong Ping was willing to sell it, perhaps those rank nines would trample over the threshold. However, if he agreed to give this to Tianmu too, perhaps Tianmu could take this opportunity to walk on Pine King's origin Tao and quickly become a top powerhouse in the origin Tao. Perhaps he could not enter the absolute peak, but he would definitely not be too weak. When that time came, Tianmu would have this kind of ability. He would not feel that he was a cripple anymore. As soon as he said this, Old Man Li glanced at Fong Ping. He coughed softly and said, "That, Fong Ping, actually, if there is no suitable candidate, I think senior brother Tian is quite suitable. You probably won't walk on Pine King's Tao. You can only choose one from some peak rank 8s or weak rank 9s. It'll be too wasteful if you leave him idle." Of course, this is a true king's origin Tao after all. Even he could not say for sure at this time. Back then, in order to take back what belonged to their ancestor, the Yang family was willing to sacrifice their rank 9s. Even if the Yang family was destroyed, they would not hesitate. From this, it could be seen how important the true king's Tao was. Even the absolute peak would covet it. Perhaps the absolute peak could take the opportunity to walk on a second path. Even if this path might not be very long, it would not matter. Killing a true king, Zhang Tao and the rest could do it. However, killing a true king and leaving behind his origin Tao was not just a path that was converted from an ultimate technique. Instead, it was a path that was truly stripped from a true king. This thing was really luck, heaven-defying luck. Only the cat had fished Pine King out, knocked him unconscious, and stripped him. Otherwise, it was almost impossible for other powerhouses to do it. When Fong Ping heard what they said, he could not help but laugh. "You are all my seniors. Why are you so embarrassed? I think the Vice-Chancellor is not embarrassed at all. How thick-skinned is he?" He did not even mention the Mystic Jade, True King's ultimate technique. After teasing Wu Quishan for a while, Fong Ping continued, "If you didn't mention it, I actually didn't think so much. As for me, I have always felt that the Catacombs' True King's path is too weak." He was influenced by Old Zhang. He always felt that the Catacombs' True King's path was too weak. In his opinion, King Pine's origin Tao should be given to a rank 9 powerhouse who had no hope of reaching the absolute peak. However, now that they mentioned it, Fong Ping suddenly realized that this thing was really precious. Although Tianmu had always given him the feeling that he was very strong and very determined, did Tianmu have any hope of reaching the absolute peak? That might not be the case. Moreover, the old man was dying now. Fong Ping said quickly, "Then I will make a trip later. As for Hai, Grandmaster Kong, and the rest, I will think of something." Wu Chuan suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Then he could not help but laugh. "You think of something? Why do I feel that you really think of yourself as a minister now?" This kid, a few top-notch high grandmasters were injured, and the absolute peak could do nothing about it. He said that he would think of something. He really did have the demeanor of a minister. Fong Ping smiled. In his heart, however, he thought of the cat tree. If the cat fruit could really heal the origin Tao's injuries, he could try looking for this tree. Could the recovery of Li Zhu's origin Tao's injuries be related to the cat fruit? Fong Ping suddenly had this thought. He did not know if it was right. "Looks like I still have to go to the catacombs." Relying on Old Zhang, and the rest might not be reliable. Fong Ping lamented. Humans, when they became stronger, they would have to bear greater responsibilities. In the end, they still had to rely on themselves. Chapter 8:59. It was still too early for martial arts powerhouses from various countries to hold a meeting. Fong Ping was not in a hurry to go over to Tianmu's matter. After sending off the people from the Martial Arts Association, Fong Ping could not care less about their suspicious expressions. The most important thing now was to settle Qin Fengqing's matter. Qin Fengqing's Grandmaster Tower. Fong Ping, Li Hansong, and Wang Jinyong blocked this guy in the tower. Fong Ping was too lazy to talk nonsense. Once the three of them arrived, Fong Ping went straight to the point, shouting, "Unleash your mentality and crush this thing. Are you playing hide-and-seek with me?" As soon as he finished speaking, the three of them unleashed their mentality, intimidating the Grandmaster Tower. Their mentality intertwined, crushing the Grandmaster Tower until it began to deform. Inside the tower, Qin Fengqing was so depressed he wanted to vomit blood. Who was playing hide-and-seek? Wasn't he here? These bastards, picking a fight whenever they wanted, they just had to find an excuse. Their mentality was stronger than his, especially Fong Ping, whose mentality was comparable to a rank 9. Once he unleashed his mentality, Qin Fengqing wanted to vomit. That's about it. Qin Fengqing shuffled his feet, opened the window in the tower, and swore, "Don't pick a fight. I'm here, I haven't left. What's there to squash?" "You're still alive?" Fong Ping looked indifferent, as if he had just noticed him. "I thought you'd been possessed and died." Qin Fengqing rolled his eyes. "I'm not as good as you at lying through your teeth." Fong Ping snorted and did not say anything else. He leaped into the air and entered through the window. As soon as he entered, Fong Ping's gaze flickered, and he snorted, "Where did you steal the ores?" "The MCWU ores have been used up, and the catacombs haven't been excavated." "Where did you get them?" The energy concentration in this guy's Grandmaster Tower was extremely high. Qin Fengqing was so depressed he wanted to vomit blood. He said impatiently, "You don't use them yourself, and you're not letting me use them? There are spoils of war after conquering the Magic City catacombs this time. We've all gotten quite a bit. Not everyone is like you who doesn't use these things." "Is that so?" Fong Ping glanced at Li Hansong. Li Hansong nodded slightly, then chuckled and said, "But a rank 7 like him shouldn't be able to get so much, right? The energy here is so dense that I thought I was in the pool of life." "Don't talk nonsense," Qin Fengqing said impatiently. "If you have something to say, say it." "Fong Ping, ignore him." Fong Ping huffed. "I won't believe you if you say you didn't ask for more." Ignoring this, Fong Ping looked around and glanced at his bedroom. He cursed under his breath. "Pauper." Qin Fengqing rolled his eyes again. "Damn it, are you looking for an opportunity to beat me up today? Did I offend you?" His bedroom didn't even have a bed, just a fur cushion. Although it was called a bedroom, it was even cleaner than a cultivation room. "Don't talk nonsense. Ask whatever you want to ask. Let's find a place to sit down and chat." Fong Ping could not stand his place. There was not even a stool, let alone a bed. "You only met me. Look at you. You don't even have a friend. They don't even have a dining table or a chair at home. How do they survive? You didn't even prepare to entertain the guests, did you?" Qin Fengqing said indifferently, "I'm so busy. Who has the time to entertain others?" Li Hansong pulled the rug out from under him. "It's because no one comes to visit you don't need to. You're the one who doesn't come." Qin Fengqing said smugly, "Girls come to me often. I just can't be bothered." "You? Forget it." Li Hansong snorted. The two of them exchanged a few words. Fong Ping ignored them and performed flight step, flying toward his Grandmaster Tower. His place was better. although he did not spend much time there. In the living room, Fong Ping sat down on a chair made of rank 8 monster plants, gesturing for Li Hansong and the rest to sit down. Qin Fengqing glanced at it and asked curiously, 3 chairs? There's none for me. You sit on the table. Looking at the few of them surrounding him, like they were interrogating him, Qin Fengqing sighed. Helplessly, he sat on the floor and said, ask whatever you want to ask. Say it yourself. Fong Ping's expression was unfriendly. He said bluntly, if you dare to hide anything, I'll deal with you as a spy. Coincidentally, Zhao Xingwu is now in the catacombs as the left commander. How about I send you there to keep him company? Qin Fengqing sighed again, looking gloomy. After a moment of silence, he said, actually, this matter, how should I put it? Do you remember I told you before that I used to like to dig up ruins everywhere? Ruins? Fong Ping frowned slightly. You mean the sect ruins? Fong Ping remembered this guy saying that he had been to many sects in the past, working with sect disciples to dig together, to see if they could dig up any treasures. Could it be related to this? Yes. Qin Fengqing nodded. It's a long story, but it's indeed related to the sect ruins, especially when I know that the bounded boundaries are related to the sects, and that the myths might be real. I'm even more concerned about these. Qin Fengqing thought for a while, organized his words, and said, I've dug up many sects in the past, but I found nothing. Ever since I found out that the bounded boundaries are the blessed grotto heaven, I feel that some of the sects today might not have been passed down from that period. So, the last time I went to Star City, Fong Ping interrupted. The last time, Qin Fengqing explained, when I broke through rank 7, didn't you ask me to go to Star City to ask Fatty for the warlord's split body? Didn't I go out for a few days that time? Fong Ping's gaze was unfriendly. It's been so many days, and you're very tight-lipped, Wang Jinyang said with a headache. Fong Ping, let him speak first. Don't interrupt him. These 2 guys were enough to give him a headache. Continue. Fong Ping humphed. Qin Fengqing pursed his lips and continued. It was that time. On the way back from Star City after getting the split body, I passed through Dongshan province. Isn't there Mount Tai on Dongshan? This is the origin of the myths and legends. One of the Taoists' 36 grotto heaven, Pengxian grotto heaven, is also here. At that time, I didn't think much of it. I just wanted to take a look. At this point, Qin Fengqing paused and said, in the end, when I got there, I passed by Queen Mother's pool. I thought that this is the legendary jade pool, and legend has it that many immortals have come here before. There are immortal palaces, temples, and nunneries everywhere. At this moment, Qin Fengqing seemed a little embarrassed. He coughed dryly and said, I thought that there might be some treasures hidden here that no one else has discovered. So, that day, I was also carried out on a whim. I went to dig a little. Li Hansong's expression was blank. After a while, he said, I remember there was a news report a few days ago that some places near Queen Mother's pool were damaged by people. The news even said that it was done by a tourist. Lowly, you did it. Qin Fengqing said sheepishly, I don't think so. I didn't dig at the same place. I changed a place and dug from underground. Logically, no one would find out, right? Get to the point. Wang Jinyang growled again. Enough. I'm going to flip out if you interrupt me again. Li Hansong shut up immediately. Qin Fengqing said again, that day, I was really just digging randomly. I don't know what happened, but as I was digging, I seemed to have entered another small world. Qin Fengqing's gaze was a little strange. It's really the kind of another world, not like the boundary wall in Star City. Actually, I can still sense it. That day, when I dug a little, I suddenly changed to another world, as if I was in another place. Let's put it this way. It's like we suddenly entered the catacombs, from one world to another. Fong Ping could not care less about old Wang's tantrum now. He said in a low voice, "What you mean is, you actually met such a powerhouse on Earth." "I don't know if it was on Earth." Qin Fengqing shook his head. "Anyway, I entered from Earth. It's hard to say whether it was on Earth or not. Later, I guessed that it might be the kind of passageway, similar to the catacombs passageway. Actually, I've already reached the catacombs." Qin Fengqing took a deep breath and continued, "I'm most interested in this kind of arcane land. When I dug in, I thought I found a treasure, so I didn't retreat at that time. I went in. After I went in, it was actually not a big place. What I saw was actually a fruit forest. I thought I'd reached the Saturn Peach Garden." Qin Fengqing laughed at this moment, a little envious. It was really a fruit forest, so many kinds of fruits. When I saw it, it seemed like they were all energy fruits, all kinds of them. At that time, I wanted to pick some fruits, but Qin Fengqing frowned slightly. But it seemed like someone was guarding it. "Seemed," Fong Ping said impatiently. "Did you meet anyone or not?" "I really didn't," Qin Fengqing explained. "When I wanted to go to the fruit forest, halfway there, I felt like someone was staring at me. I'm still more sensitive to these kinds of things. Someone is observing me in the dark." At that time, I was ready to leave, but very soon, that gaze seemed to have noticed Warlord's split body, and then the gaze disappeared. At that time, anyway, I wasn't really afraid, so I didn't leave. I continued walking forward, ready to go to the fruit forest to pick fruits. In the end, when I reached the fruit forest, I realized that there was a boundary wall. This time, there was really a barrier I couldn't enter. I attacked it for a long time, but I couldn't open it. At that time, weren't you besieged by the evil sect? I was in a hurry to send the split body back. After attacking for a long time, it didn't open, so I was about to leave. In the end, when I left, it seemed like, Qin Fengqing repeated with emphasis, it seemed like someone sent me a voice transmission. Anyway, the voice was very vague, asking me to come alone next time. Then I could open the barrier. Actually, I'm alone. I suspect that the voice was talking about Warlord's split body. That's it. Fong Ping frowned. That's it. Qin Fengqing shrugged. That's it. Really? But there's one more thing. When I came out, I looked back. It's gone. The world entrance is gone. I can't find it. Qin Fengqing said helplessly, "This passageway seems to be controlled by someone. I think I probably opened it by accident. If I want to open it again, I'm afraid I can only go in alone." That voice said one person. The last time I wanted to go in, I couldn't. It probably rejected Warlord's split body, so I didn't try again. "Are you an idiot?" Fong Ping's eyes were cold and stern. "It's fine if you didn't say anything about this, but since you knew someone might be there and you deliberately rejected Warlord's split body, it's obvious that you have some reservations. I told you to go alone, and you really went alone? You didn't even mention it. Are you afraid that I'll snatch your opportunity?" "I didn't mean that." Qin Fengqing was speechless. "I know there might be danger. I'm not an idiot. But since I was fine the first time I went in, the other party might be wary of Warlord's split body, but they probably don't want to kill me." "Didn't you guys also meet the old antiques in the bounded zone? Didn't they not die? The last time I entered the bounded zone with Iron Head, we were both thrown out in the end. I'm guessing that a place might have certain restrictions. If some people go in, then the opportunity is gone. Since there's a living person, and he specifically told me to go alone, then I think he might have some arrangements or something. You also know that these old antiques are not easy to fool. If I bring you guys along, I might not be able to go in. Then you shouldn't have said nothing. It's not like that. I'm only rank 7. Qin Fengqing said gloomily. I'm just worried that these old antiques have many tricks up their sleeves. They can use mentality to probe some things. Once I say it, he might find out. I thought I'll go in alone and try again. If there's really a huge benefit, then we'll talk about it when I come back. Fang Ping humphed. How dare you? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to come back? What's there to be afraid of? Qin Fengqing said indifferently. As long as the benefit is big enough, then it's worth the gamble. Won't you guys be in danger when you go to the bounded zone? When you guys went to the Shishan catacombs last time, you guys went in. If that old antique had evil intentions, didn't you guys die too? Just bet on your luck. Since these fellows have appeared now, I'm afraid they're not here to kill a rank 7 martial artist, right? If they were exposed so easily, then they wouldn't have hidden. Fang Ping frowned. After a while, he said, there's a big problem. They're actually people who appeared on Earth. I thought you met them in the catacombs. You know, Sino Nation has Old Zhang and the rest, and they've almost dug 3 feet deep. Their mentality is incomparably strong, and they've explored many places. Do you think that Paragon really didn't investigate these at all? We all know to go to the blessed Grotto Heaven in reality to take a look. Not just them. Even Warlord and the rest have checked many times. Old Zhang has checked 100%, but he found nothing. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that these people are all old turtles hiding in their shells and not coming out. Fang Ping frowned. You actually entered a new world on Earth. If that's the case, then there's an 80 to 90% chance that it's not like the one in Star City. If it's really like that, we would have been discovered long ago. Old Zhang said before that some sects on Earth have a small space similar to Star City's barrier. Some sects rank 7 and 8 powerhouses usually hide in there. Some of the fellows inside are still alive. However, it can't be hidden from Old Zhang. He has investigated almost all of them and grasped some of the situations inside clearly before he let it go. But now, Dongshan is not far from Capital City. Right under his nose, an old antique has appeared. This is a very serious problem. You actually didn't tell me. Qin Fengqing mumbled. It's okay. They won't dare to come out now. Don't I have plans? This time, I plan to go take a look first. If I don't come back, 10 days later, the 3 departments and 4 houses, including MCMAU, will receive a fixed mail. When the time comes, you will naturally know. I've written down the address clearly. You will know when you go back and check. Easy for you to say. Fang Ping let out a humph. Li Hansong continued. When Fang Ping was preparing to counterattack Magic City's catacombs, he also thought about whether the blessed Grotto Heaven in reality has a passageway to the catacombs. Fang Ping had mentioned this to Jiang Chao before. Li Hansong had also heard about it. At this time, he muttered, could it be that you went to a Grotto Heaven? For example, Peng Xian Grotto Heaven? The person you met was the master of Peng Xian Grotto Heaven? Fang Ping opened his mouth and said, Peng Xian Grotto Heaven is not among the 8 territories in Sino Nation. They are Quechang Mountain, Purple Cap Mountain, Wangwu Mountain, Weiyu Mountain, Void Mausoleum Grotto Heaven, Xuanda Grotto Heaven, Dongyang Mountain, and Luofu Mountain. This was the data on the combat strength ranking given by Old Zhang. The 8 Grotto Heaven masters were all on the ranking. Fang Ping suspected that Old Zhang had probably confirmed that the person was still alive and had investigated at Imperial Sea Mountain before. That was why he had given the ranking. If that was the case, then the 8 territories in Sino Nation had a master. As for the other 3 territories, Fang Ping did not know if there were undamaged territories or if Old Zhang had not been there before. Anyway, there were no Grotto Heaven masters in other places on the ranking. If that was the case, then it meant that only Sino Nation had 8 territories that were intact. The Peng Xian Grotto Heaven, where Mount Tai had no record. He did not know whether it did not exist or did not exist at all. 10 major grotto heavens, 36 small grotto heavens, and 72 blessed lands. Those were just legends. It did not mean that these places definitely existed. After hearing what he said, Qin Fengqing thought for a while before saying, "Actually, it doesn't really look like a territory. It's not like I haven't been to a territory before. That sky palace is the most obvious." Fang Ping said disdainfully, "Idiot, you went in from Earth. It could also be inside the sky palace. The fruit forest you saw might be on the sky palace. It's not impossible. I've only eliminated the possibility of it being Peng Xian Grotto Heaven, but it might be another Grotto Heaven. According to the records, there was only one Peng Xian Grotto Heaven in the eastern mountains. However, the Grotto Heavens in the nearby provinces could also have passages in these regions. For example, Mount Wanwu is actually in the West Mountain area. As the legendary number 1 Grotto Heaven, it may not be impossible to open a passage on Earth. It is understandable that the passage is in the East Mountain. East Mountain and West Mountain were adjacent to each other. Wangwu Mountain, one of the 8 great caves, still existed, so it was possible that the passageway was there. Qin Fengqing scratched his head and thought for a moment before saying, "Why don't I go take a look first? Didn't the old cat say that the other party might be using me? But if they want to use me, they should at least give me some benefits. Let me get to rank 9 first. As for whether or not I'll be using him, it's hard to say who'll be using whom when I reach rank 9. Fang Ping frowned. "All you know is the benefits. Once they do something to you, when you're advancing to level 9, you'll die. Didn't you hear what the cat said about the cat tree? He was very clear about the flaws in the other party's Tao of quintessence. It was fine if they didn't know, but if they did, even if they reached the peak, it would still be extremely dangerous. If you want to mess around until you reach rank 9 or even Paragon, do you think others are idiots? Didn't the other party have any control methods? Let's not talk about anything else. If they catch hold of the flaw in your source Tao, you'll be under their control for the rest of your life." Qin Fengqing said sheepishly, "Then I'll go and mess around until I reach peak rank 8. After I reach peak rank 8, I won't go anymore. Isn't that enough?" "Get lost," Fang Ping scolded. "You think I don't know you? Will you be able to hold it in?" This wasn't the first time you gambled on your luck. You were full of confidence and felt that you were invincible. Would you be afraid of others scheming against you? But in reality, you are nothing. When you reach peak rank 8, can you resist the temptation? Many level 9 experts were extremely confident when they stepped into the quintessence Tao. The few catacombs origin path I've met when they were rank 9 thought that a true king was nothing much. They thought that they were invincible, that they could break the sky with one punch. But in the end, they all hesitated, and they all died. Fang Ping cursed for a while before saying solemnly, "There really is a passageway on Earth." Furthermore, it was still unknown where it would lead to, whether it was the catacombs or not. It was very troublesome. A hidden old antique was hiding in the human world, the kind that could still come out from the looks of it. This kind of old antique doesn't know good and evil, the most troublesome. I must inform old Zhang about this. Fang Ping's considerations were much more than Qin Fengqing's. This fellow only knew how to become stronger, but he did not think about what would happen if the other party came out. Qin Fengqing saw that Fang Ping was deeply worried and said gloomily, "Fang Ping, this is not the first time the passageway has appeared. Maybe it has existed since ancient times. You think that others are a threat. Others might think that we are occupying their territory. If the passageway has really existed for countless years, then the surface was also their territory back then. They haven't come out for so many years. Do you need to be so worried now? What do you know? Fong Ping scolded. No matter whose territory Earth was back then, it's ours now. Do you understand? These fellows didn't appear when humans were in danger, didn't stand up to help. Then I don't care if they live or die. Right now, they are a threat. Just like the catacombs' two kings. The true king in the catacombs simply wants to get rid of the two kings. Although we won't go that far, since they don't care if Earth lives or dies. Then don't even think about returning to Earth now. Fong Ping continued. The 8 major realms are still on the surface, after all. I'm afraid that some of Star Town's top powerhouses are also from these places. They're all contributing. That's why even though old Zhang is furious, he didn't really lay a hand on the realms. These old antiques on the surface probably had the same idea when they sent people out back then. But those in the dark, no matter who they are all enemies. Although Zhang Tao was dissatisfied with the territories, he did not hate them to the point of insanity. Needless to say, a part of Stellar Sky City's top experts came from there. That was their sincerity. Perhaps it was not shown to future generations, but more or less they had contributed. Those in the dark, then there was no humanity to speak of at all. Kwokang Mountain did not contribute before, but Old Cat coming out this time could be considered to have contributed. Why did Old Zhang choose Kwokang Mountain as his first target? It was most likely because no one had appeared at Kwokang Mountain before. Gong Juanzi had to thank Old Cat for giving up later. Otherwise, during the battle in Magic City previously, Old Zhang would definitely break the territories and force this guy out. I'll inform Old Zhang later and ask him to come back and think of a way. You have to settle this as soon as possible. This is the top priority. Fong Ping was more nervous about this than he was about the king's battleground, a direct passageway to Earth. No one knew that it could pass through. Just this point alone, he had to find out the truth. If Old Zhang knew, he probably would not sit still. Someone had dug a hole and was hiding right under his nose. It would be strange if he didn't find the culprit. Qin Feng Qing said sheepishly, "Up to you, but once Old Zhang comes out, the other party might hide completely." Fong Ping, if that's the case, then I might not be able to go in. How about this? I'll go in first, and you guys can look. Do you want money more than your life? Fong Ping scolded. Must you seek death? Sigh. Qin Feng Qing sighed. There was no other way. Back then, he said that he could surpass them when he reached rank 7. In the end, when he reached rank 7, he realized that rank 7 was nothing. It was useless to go on like this. Now, he could only take the risk. Danger. It was not like he did not know. This kind of place was definitely dangerous. It was normal to not be able to come out after going in. But if he did not try, how would he know? He was only rank 7 anyway. It did not matter if he had more or less. If he really died in there, then it was nothing. It proved that the other party did have evil intentions. When the email was sent, they could go and look for him again. Fong Ping ignored him. A crystal chip appeared in his hand. Old Zhang had cut a little bit of mentality on it. Once it was broken, Old Zhang could sense it and rush back quickly. Qin Feng Qing saw that and sighed again. All right, this time his preparation was for nothing. He sighed. When Fong Ping broke the crystal chip, he scolded, "Short-sighted fellow. How much can you take if you go in? Is it for your own good? Or is it better to just take it all? If this fellow has bad intentions, let Old Zhang and the others join forces to take him. Not only will the things be ours, even his origin and Tao, even his bones will be mine." Fong Ping was incomparably savage. Sino Nation had already been reserved by him. It was his territory. Now that someone dared to dig a hole in Sino Nation's territory, he would kill him. Everyone listened with their mouths agape. You're amazing. This fellow had always treated these opportunities like this, taking them all. Now he was preparing to take the nest. Chapter 860. Just as Fong Ping summoned old Zhang back, the catacombs, Destiny City, Ji Yao stood in the middle of an enormous palace, looking up at Ji Hong. She was looking at Ji Hong with her head tilted up. Ji Hong sat on his throne, his voice loud and emotionless. Do you really have the ability to support the royal court? I don't know. Ji Yao said slowly. The royal ancestor and father are still in the royal court. They can teach me. Ji Hong was silent for a moment. You want to join the Heavenly Lion Battalion, Yao, or wants to go out and gain some experience, participate in more battles, and make more friends? Ji Yao said loudly. I don't have enough prestige right now, but if I can gain some achievements at the border and gain the recognition of some true kings, I will inherit the position of Lord of the Ji family. The border is very chaotic, Ji Hong said solemnly. The demons of the myriad demon royal court are unruly and often violate the borders. There are demons guarding the royal court. Some greater demons think that they are traitors and often attack the royal court. Over there, once you die in battle, not even your bones will be left. Those demons will eat you alive. Ji Yao had never left the Ji family's protection. The first time she had left Destiny City was at the royal court's battlefield. She had been at peak rank, 6 then, and was ready to ascend. That was why she had taken the risk. Ji Hong thought that it hadn't been that long. Now, his daughter wanted to go to the border and participate in the war against the myriad demon royal court. Hundreds of thousands of martial artists participated in the royal court's battles. There were countless powerhouses. The myriad demon royal court had the largest territory and countless powerhouses. Demons often led troops into the war. Some of the true monarchs might even take action. This was not the Outland. The true King Reborn had stopped them in the Outland. That was why there was a rule that true kings could not participate. This was not happening. True kings were invincible powerhouses. They would not be restricted by others. They were just a bunch of ants. It was up to the true king whether to kill them or not. There had been cases of true kings slaughtering large numbers of martial artists. Ji Yao said solemnly, millions of royal court soldiers are fighting at the border. If they dare, I won't back down. I felt a lot during the 7 southern regions battle. Ji Yao's emotions fluctuated as she said, I see the faith of the revived martial artists who dare to face death. I saw 2 quasi-true kings reach the true king realm in 1 step. I even saw the true king of God Continent and the god generals of God Continent. They didn't dare to die, but in the end, they died a tragic death. The more you fear death, the more you will die. True monarchs and divine generals are all lofty existences, but it's also because of this that they've long since forgotten how they got stronger through cultivation. Ji Yao said coldly, that's why Yao won't repeat the same mistake. Rather than dying like this in the future, why not give it your all now? Take King Li Zhu, for example. Making friends with a group of like-minded people in the army, at least, when you go out to battle one day, you will have comrades. No one will stab you in the back. Ji Yao was straightforward. She raised her head and said loudly, back then, King Li Zhu went to war against the Nether King. Both his left and right generals died. Father, this is what Yao wants to do. A king lord had subdued 2 experts of the same cultivation level, the most powerful experts of all. For the great cause of the royal court, he was willing to fight to the death, Even though that battle ended in tragedy, even today, the right general is still protecting King Li Zhu. Yao, wants to become a king lord like him too. Ji Hong's expression changed when he heard this. As the princess of Heaven Fate royal court, Ji Yao was the daughter of the king lord, the daughter of Ji Hong, the daughter of a true monarch. The Ji family controlled Heaven Fate royal court and was famous everywhere. But now, his daughter worshipped the king lord of another royal court. To Ji Hong, this was tantamount to saying that he was a failure as a king lord. Ji Hong mocked himself and smiled faintly. Li Zhu? Yao. Some people are different. Li Zhu could only do this. That was his fate. Li Zhu started from nothing, and he had to fight. If he didn't, he would have died a long time ago. But my Ji family is different. We have two true monarchs. You, the king lord, are the strongest in the royal court. Ji Hong shook his head. Fate is different, so the process is different. And the result was different as well. Now that I'm a true monarch of the three divine generals, one is dead, one is crippled, and one is injured. Yao, the Ji family doesn't need to learn from Li Zhu. Ji Yao lowered her head and said in a complicated tone, Father, is the Ji family really that strong? Ji Hong subconsciously wanted to scold her, but in the next moment, he stopped. Ji Yao didn't raise her head. She bowed and said, Yes, the King Lord is the strongest, but compared to heavenly King Jin, King Wu, King Qian, and the myriad demon king, how does the King Lord compare? King Ancestor, can you really sweep away the troubles of the world alone? Father, I've always thought that since the Ji family is so powerful, why should I work hard? Why should I cultivate and become a monarch and emperor? 2 years ago, I never thought that I would one day become the King Lord. I have a true monarch realm grandfather, a King Lord father, a divine Dao realm uncle, and countless divine generals of the Ji family. Do I still need to work hard for such a powerful Ji family? Do I still need Yao, to become the next King Lord? Ji Yao shook her head and said in a complicated tone, Back then, I never thought that this day would come. But now I understand. Father, sometimes you can only rely on yourself for some things. Ji Hong frowned. Ji Yao continued. Also, Fong Ping said that the King Lord of Li Zhu wasn't crippled. Instead, he became stronger. Father, the reason why the King Lord of Li Zhu hid himself is because he has great ambitions. The Ji family wants to unify the God continent. Can the King Lord and Father really do it? Ji Hong frowned. Even though Li Zhu hid himself, he was indeed a divine general 10 years ago, and not a true monarch. In such a short time, even if he became a true monarch, his strength is still limited. Father, Ji Yao interrupted Ji Hong. That might not be the case. How long has it been since King Wu and King of Hell became true monarchs? However, they had been able to kill a true king with ease. King Wu is so powerful that even the King Lord, can he really take down King Wu? Ji Yao said something very disrespectful. During the battle that day, she was escaping and didn't see the true monarchs fight. But after that, she knew everything. King Wu was the first to fight. He fought the myriad demon king and the King Lord alone. If King Wu was only powerful, it would be fine. The royal court could fight him. But King Wu wasn't powerful alone. What was more powerful was that he could make the resurrected true monarch fight with him to the death. King Wu was like that. He was the leader of the land of rebirth. Li Zhu was the same. Ji Yao thought of the mystic jade, true monarch's death. The Sky Plant's royal court's true monarch was ordered by Li Zhu, and in the battle in the North region, many true monarchs attacked and killed 2 true monarchs from the land of rebirth. Who was the leader? Ji Hong, and the rest didn't know. Or rather, they didn't want to admit it. They didn't think it was Li Zhu, but Ji Yao felt that it was very likely that it was the sickly Li Zhu. This was the real King Lord. This was a powerhouse who could control his own fate. Perhaps they might not be as powerful as the King Lord, but they could control their own lives. They could do what they wanted. They had the support of others who were willing to die for them. This was why Ji Yao felt they were powerful. As for her father and her King Lord, could they really let the true monarchs die for the Ji family? Ji Yao had mixed feelings. Ji Hong was silent for a while. After a while, he sighed. In just a few years, you've changed so much that I can't recognize you. Never mind, chaos is coming. Maybe this is your fate. Go, bring Ji Nan with you to the Heavenly Lion Army. I want to go alone. Ji Yao said, with Uncle King around. I'm afraid I won't have a chance to fight. If I really die at the border, King Lord, just pretend that I don't have a daughter like Yao. Ji Hong was speechless for a while. After a while, he said, up to you. Then Yao shall leave. Ji Yao bowed. After thinking for a while, she said, when the king's battleground opens, Yao would like to participate if I have the chance. The two kings have revived, and everyone is making their moves. Even if Yao can't see everything clearly, I want to enter the game and learn from these true powerhouses. Ji Hong looked at her deeply. True powerhouses was his daughter, saying that he wasn't a true powerhouse. This was his daughter. Why did she look so unfamiliar? Ji Hong mocked himself in his heart. It seemed like his daughter looked down on him. After a long while, Ji Hong waved his hand and said, go first. Okay, I'll go to the border now. Ji Yao did not delay and left the hall in the blink of an eye. After she left, a figure appeared in the hall. Fate King frowned slightly as he watched his granddaughter leave. After a long while, he said, Yao has changed a lot. I don't know if it's good or bad. Father, Ji Hong called out softly and said in a low voice, now, King Wu is powerful, Li Zhu is in hibernation, King Qian is enduring, Myriad Goblin King and Heavenly Goblin King are in hiding. Should we? He wanted to ask if his father was too ostentatious. Now, the only powerhouse who was active in the open was Fate King. The matter of the king's battleground was also led by his father. This might not be a good thing. Fate King said in a low voice, I know what you want to say. However, I have no choice. Among the 4 palace masters, I became a true king, the latest. King Qian and the others were all true kings in the early years. Some of them even participated in the war against the demon emperor. Hundreds of years ago, the palace master of the majestic court died. I also became the palace master of the true king palace by chance. However, no one knew how the palace master died back then. Someone is playing a game of chess, a very big game of chess. As for me, I might be their chess piece. Why did King Wu fight? Why did he attack so frequently? Because he was also a chess piece. However, he wanted to jump out of this game of chess. Father is the same. Fate King's eyes were deep as he looked into the distance. He said in a faint voice, therefore, the only thing I can do is fight. If they want to use me as a chess piece, they have to see if they are qualified. After I kill the 2 kings, perhaps they will be my chess pieces. After cultivating to the realm of Fate King, he would not be stupid. It was not that he did not know some things. He just followed the flow. King Feng had been active in Imperial Sea Mountain all these years. Why? He was fighting too. If he did not fight, he might not be able to take the second path. In the end, those true kings who did not fight in the catacombs might become abandoned instead of chess pieces. Ji Hong's tone was complicated. He was also a little upset. Father, who is the leader of this game of chess? Who? Fate King chuckled. Many people. The Demon Emperor might be the biggest chess player. This includes some powerhouses from the Land of Rebirth, those from the Land of Rebirth, as well as the two kings, the Demon Emperor, King Qian. These people might all be chess players. They might have been from the beginning, or they might have joined halfway. If you play chess, then I play chess too. After thousands of years, it has become very complicated now. Fate King shook his head. Not only them, he was also planning. As he said that, he said, there are also the demons guarding the majestic court. All these years, it seems like they are showing weakness by contributing to both sides. However, is that really the case? Do you know what these demons are thinking? There were many powerhouses among these guarding demons. Most of the rank, 9 in the outer territory, were demon powerhouses. The celestial demon king, who guarded the majestic court, was also extremely mysterious. He rarely appeared. Legend had it that during the battle where the demon emperor attacked, the celestial demon king had already achieved true king level. Would such a demon king do something that harmed others without benefiting itself? What was it thinking by sending a large number of demons into the too majestic court? No one knew. Fate King's emotions fluctuated. He quickly said, "Don't worry about this. Since Yawa wants to go to the military to train, let her go. When she comes back from the military and has merits, you can abdicate." Okay, Ji Hong did not hesitate. Now that King 100 Mountain was dead, there was much less resistance in the majestic court. However, with King 100 Mountain's death, his father would probably be under a lot of pressure. At this moment, Ji Hong could not help but ask, "Father, why did Heavenly King Garrison kill King 100 Mountain that day? All these years, Heavenly King Garrison would only kill someone who wanted to enter the first grotto heaven. At other times, he mainly used intimidation and did not take the initiative to kill a true king." Fate King hesitated for a moment and said slowly, "Maybe he is buying time. It might be related to the king battlefield. After killing King 100 Mountain, I will be questioned by the other true kings. In the short term, the king battlefield matter will not be able to proceed smoothly. He might be giving the two kings more time." Ji Hong's expression changed. Buying time for the two kings? Why? Fate King's eyes were deep. He said indifferently, he might know the two kings. Who can say for sure about these things? These people have lived for generations. There is me in you and you in me. Their relationship is very complicated. Fate King shook his head. Among the current top-notch experts, excluding the few new top-notch experts in the Land of Rebirth, he was actually the most inexperienced. He attained Tao after the Demon Emperor attacked 1,000 years ago. Many humans and demons had attained Tao 1,000 years ago. In the God continent, it was hard to say if there were any true kings who had participated in the king battlefield battle. Many true kings were extremely mysterious. Although it was known that they were true kings, one might not know when they attained Tao. Forget about the true kings of the same generation. Those who were not true kings had never seen them, or those who knew them were all dead when they suddenly appeared midway and joined the true king hall. One would not know where they came from or what their past was. God continent was huge. The big ones could hide at will, and one would not be able to find them. There was also the existence of the Forbidden Sea and some secret places. Fate King thought about these things and suddenly murmured, "This is the only time I want to truly get rid of all these." The king battlefield. It was very important. Heavenly King Zhen seemed to want to delay his footsteps. Why? You want to delay, but not a martial king. Fate King suddenly laughed. Perhaps he could try. At the same time, in a secret place, Zhang Tao frowned and cursed softly. This kid had only been here for a few days, and he was already in trouble. He was looking for him now. Beside him, Li Jun looked at him and asked, "What's wrong?" Fong Ping is looking for me for something urgent. Li Jun was speechless and said helplessly, just a few days, right? Didn't I give him the secret art to comprehend before he left? He should be able to immerse himself in it for a few months, right? Listening to what he said, the secret art was given to Fong Ping to let that guy rest for a few days. Not far away, Warlord chuckled and said, maybe your secret art is too simple and he learned it in a few days. That's right. After all, you guys have only reached the peak for a few years. Zhang Tao stood up and said with a smile, Senior, since you think our secret art is not good, why don't you be generous and leave us a secret art too, so that this kid can immerse himself in it and rest for a while? Warlord chuckled and said, he can't learn mine. It's too complicated. Zhang Tao despised him in his heart. Who would believe him? You guys continue here. I'll go back and take a look, Zhang Tao said, and said, try to get it done quickly. Once the king battlefield ends, the catacombs' true king will probably continue to be active. We don't have much time. Everyone agreed. Zhang Tao did not say anything else. With a move of his body, he disappeared without a trace. Seeing that, Warlord sighed and said, this guy, he's really getting stronger. He has to admit that he's getting old. Breaking space, locating the passageway. I think one day he'll be able to break space directly and appear in the catacombs at any time. Li Jun heard that and thought for a while. Patriarch Jiang, are the catacombs and Earth really one? If Zhang Tao can really break space, can he tear the barrier between the two worlds? Warlord chuckled and said, I don't know about that, but it's very possible. I remember that guy from the evil sect said that with blood sacrifice, using the life force of billions of people as the energy source, he might be able to break this barrier. Who is the Grand Pope really? Li Jun was going crazy. Since the patriarchs have come into contact with him, did they really not discover his identity? Warlord pondered for a while and said, it's hard to tell, but he's not weak. I can't be sure with just a glance. Years ago, he came from Mount Royal Sea and persuaded us to sacrifice all lives, break the barrier, and get rid of the shackles of guarding Mount Royal Sea. This guy is quite eloquent. According to him, as long as we sacrifice billions of people, we don't have to care about Mount Royal Sea anymore. From now on, we can go anywhere in the world. Li Jun took a deep breath and said, so the Grand Pope isn't the Patriarch? The Patriarch he mentioned was not Warlord. Warlord knew what he meant and said with a smile, it shouldn't be that old geezer from your family. That old geezer tricked us into guarding Mount Royal Sea. If he wanted us to give up, he would have just let us guard it. He made it so troublesome, guarding it and not guarding it at the same time, unless he's a psychopath. Doesn't Patriarch Jiang have any clues at all? Li Jun said in a low voice, if we don't ferret this guy out, he'll be a disaster sooner or later. Actually, you don't have to worry too much. Warlord said with a smile, his goal is to break the barrier between the two worlds in advance. That was 100 years ago, and there weren't many passageways open back then. So he had the idea. But now, it's about to be completely opened, and there's not much use for him to show up now. It's only a matter of time. Can't he wait for a year or two? The Pope's goal was to break the barrier between the two worlds in advance, so that true kings could come and go at will. Of course, that was not the main goal, Warlord said again. That guy probably wanted to trigger a war in advance, maybe solve some mysteries, or simply let the seed of rebirth appear in advance. But he failed. All these years, he didn't care much about the evil sect, or else it wouldn't have been so easy to destroy it. The seed of rebirth again. Li Jun snorted. He hated this thing now, afraid to hear its name. Everything stemmed from this. Warlord was too lazy to say anything else. After so many years, he was tired of hearing about the seed of rebirth. McMao. The space fluctuated slightly, and the next moment, Zhang Tao's figure appeared in the sky above MCMAU. Zhang Tao exhaled. It was not easy for him. Breaking space and traveling through space was still a little difficult for him. However, he cultivated the Emperor path and could vaguely locate the human powerhouse's aura. That was how he caught a trace of aura and rushed here. If it were someone else, it might not be possible. Even someone as strong as the subduing Heavenly King might not be able to do it. Once lost in the darkness, there might be no way to get out. It's good if there are more powerhouses in Sino Nation. Zhang Tao laughed suddenly. He wanted to lock on to the aura. Without a rank 9, it was almost impossible to sense. If there were more powerhouses, if there were rank 9s everywhere, maybe he could really teleport. As he was thinking, Zhang Tao's expression changed. The next moment, he appeared in Fang Ping's Grandmaster Tower. Fang Ping, who was waiting, was surprised to see old Zhang suddenly appear. "Minister, don't tell me you're hiding in MCMAU? You've appeared in 23 seconds." This speed was unparalleled. Did he not say that he was not in Sino Nation anymore? But wasn't this too fast? Zhang Tao could not be bothered with him. He said quickly, "Have you learned the ultimate technique? I left you 810,000 energy combinations that might be suitable for you. Logically speaking, you should still be trying to figure them out. How did you get out of closed-door cultivation so soon?" Fang Ping was stunned. "How many?" Luckily, he did not look. Fang Ping suddenly felt lucky. Old Zhang was trying to trick him. Luckily, he was smart enough to look at Li Zhen's ultimate technique first. Otherwise, 810,000. Fang Ping shuddered. He was going to trap himself to death. Old Zhang's heart was really evil. Fang Ping did not waste any more time. He quickly told him what had happened. Zhang Tao frowned. He said quickly, "It's not too surprising. There are some powerhouses hiding on Earth. I've guessed it before, but they're hidden very well. Plus, those useless old fellows in Star Town don't know how to do this. They only know how to make a big shell to hide. I've never thought about how to crack it. Now it seems that there are some unexpected gains." He was not too worried about this. Although these people were annoying, they would not appear in the near future. However, these fellows had special methods. He did not really understand these methods from the ancient martial arts period or the sex period, so he could not crack it. The elders in Star Town only knew how to make some barriers to protect Star Town. They could not do this. He did not have any experience to learn from. Now it was great. He had actually discovered one. Old Zhang suddenly laughed. "Good news. Maybe we can catch him alive. Mother asterisk Kerr, there's finally some progress. This time, we'll think of a way to catch this old tortoise and get rid of him. Good news." As soon as he said this, Wang Jinyang and the others looked at him and Fang Ping strangely. The two of you really did not discuss this beforehand. Old Zhang really did not eavesdrop. They would not believe it even if he said it. Chapter 861. Inside the Grandmaster Tower, Zhang Tao was in a good mood. He said something similar to what Fang Ping had said. Soon he touched his chin. His beard was gone. It was gone during the last war. While touching his chin, he muttered, "The entrance is around Mount Tai. The cat is familiar, but doesn't remember." Thinking, Zhang Tao raised his eyebrows. Is it a powerhouse from the apatheicized era or the sect era? Fang Ping continued. In the history of martial arts, how many super wars have happened? Fang Ping added, as far as I know, the appearance of the Forbidden Sea was caused by a war. This should be the war at the end of the Demon Emperor era. At that time, humans were probably in the apatheicized era. The second was the war between the two kings and the old antiques of the bounded domain. The third was when unquestionable Jian led the powerhouses from Earth into the catacombs. This was the end of the sect era. The Third War. This was what Fang Ping knew so far. The first time, the Forbidden Sea appeared. The second time, the battlefield of the Demon Emperor era and the current broken bounded domain appeared. The third time, however, did not seem to affect much. There were not many relics left, as if the war did not affect anything. Zhang Tao laughed. There should be one more time, but that was too early. It might have happened before the Demon Emperor era. The Demon Emperor should have existed through both the ancient martial era and the apatheicized era. The disappearance of the ancient emperors might have something to do with the war. Of course, this is my guess. The emperors might have disappeared during the war at the Forbidden Sea. This is not clear yet. Zhang Tao knew what Fang Ping meant. He denied. This guy who is hiding shouldn't be someone before the Demon Emperor era. Of course, it's very possible that he's not from the bounded domain. I guess he might be an antique left behind from the apatheicized era. Everyone was surprised. Qin Fengqing said quickly, an antique from the apatheicized era? It can't be that old, right? If he's from the bounded domain, the antiques from the other bounded domain would have shown up. The other party wouldn't have hidden so deeply. Also, the bounded domain. Zhang Tao laughed. Those antiques from the bounded domain don't seem to know how to do this either. Based on what you're saying, the other party is trying to hide the small world that he's in. This is not something an ordinary person can do. If those fellows from the bounded domain could do it, they would have hidden the bounded domain a long time ago. Fang Ping came to a sudden realization and said hurriedly, "That's right. If the domain lands really have this ability, I don't think they should put the domain lands in front of everyone." The bounded domain was dangerous, but the target was clear. If it were not for the humans and the catacombs powerhouses holding it back, it would have been breached long ago. If he really had such an ability, the more secluded his hiding place, the better, Fang Ping said, excitedly. A powerhouse who's still in front of the sect? Minister, we've earned big this time. If one of them were to be caught, he might be able to reap an incomparably huge harvest. Zhang Tao glanced at him and laughed in spite of himself. You're more confident than me. If that guy was really a survivor of that era, do you think he would be weak? However, since the other party lured Qin Fengqing and acted so sneakily, even the Battle King's clone was wary of him. I'm afraid he might not have recovered. As he spoke, Zhang Tao said, "Let's go and take a look, and we'll know." Minister, aren't you going to prepare? Fang Ping was surprised. Was he not even prepared for this? What's there to prepare? Zhang Tao said indifferently, if we can catch him, then catch him. If we can't, then forget it. We'll just chase him away. If we can't, then seal the entrance to the small world. I'm afraid the other party won't dare to fight with me now. He said it confidently. The other party had hidden for so many years. Even if he still had his combat strength now, he might not dare to fight him. He would go and take a look. If he was weak, then he would catch him and take a look. An old antique who had lived for thousands of years. Other than that cat, he had never seen a real person. As for people like Heavenly King Subduing and the others who knew how old they were, Zhang Tao was extremely decisive. He did what he said. In the blink of an eye, he brought Fang Ping and the others and rushed toward Dongshan. In reality, it was fine not to bring them. Bringing them would be a bit of a burden. However, Zhang Tao had some guesses in his heart. If he went, he might not be able to find the entrance. Maybe he would have to rely on Qin Fengqing. Tarzan, Queen Motherpool. High up in the sky, Fang Ping and the others emerged from the black passageway. They were all a little shocked, hurrying through space. What kind of move was this? This was beyond the scope of martial arts, wasn't it? Zhang Tao did not say much. His mentality began to investigate quickly, very quickly. His eyes moved slightly. In the next moment, they appeared underground, as if they had been here all along. There was a pit underground. It was dug out quite wide. Fong Ping and the others glanced at Qin Fengqing. There was no need to ask. This guy dug it. Qin Fengqing looked around and said quickly, "It's at the end in front. When we were digging, we were no longer on Earth." Zhang Tao did not say much. He strode forward. After walking for a while, there was a sealed stone wall in front. Fong Ping used his mentality to investigate and frowned slightly. There was nothing behind the stone wall. It was still soil and gravel. Fong Ping used his mentality to investigate. Very quickly, he shook his head and said, "I didn't find anything unusual. Could it be that it can be moved? If it was possible, then it would be terrifying." Zhang Tao laughed. "Probably not. The passageway is indeed nearby. There are traces of space tearing around here. Shattered space would more or less leave behind some traces." Zhang Tao sensed carefully. Very quickly, he smiled faintly. "It's very vigilant. It doesn't seem to welcome me." As soon as he said that, everyone felt a little strange. Had the other party discovered Zhang Tao? At this moment, Zhang Tao said calmly, "Since Senior is still alive, why don't you show yourself? I have a lot of doubts that I would like Senior to clear up." Silence. No matter what era Senior is from, you should be an Earthling. Since you haven't done anything evil on Earth all these years, I don't want to be your enemy. However, the situation is not stable now. A person like Senior is hiding in the hinterland of Sino Nation. I have to be vigilant." Zhang Tao waited for a moment. Then he smiled again. "If Senior doesn't come out, then forget it. However, this time, I'm afraid you have your own motives for luring the juniors in. Forget it. Since you don't want to show yourself, how about this?" Zhang Tao seemed to be thinking about something. He smiled. "Let these juniors in. Senior, give them some opportunities. Take it as a favor." Still silence. At this moment, Zhang Tao's smile was gone. He said indifferently, "You don't want face? I gave you a chance, but you don't cherish it?" I said, "I'm asking you to give them opportunities. I'm asking you to pay for the passage. 1 hour. Let them in. Let them return satisfied. Otherwise, I'll break this shell today and let you have nowhere to hide." As soon as he said that, Fong Ping and the others had a strange look on their faces. This old Zhang was arrogant. Fong Ping was a little doubtful. Could he really find the place? If he could, with old Zhang's personality, would he talk so much nonsense with the other party? Before he came, he said he would capture them directly. The next moment, Zhang Tao's voice rang in everyone's ears. "Think of a way to sneak in first. This is the first time I've seen this. I don't really understand the principle. The overlapping space around here is more complicated. Once you guys go in, I can locate the other party's location. I'll break the space directly and capture them. Don't worry, it won't be too dangerous." Old Zhang was still very confident. He had discovered some abnormalities, but he could not clearly sense the other party's location. After sending Fong Ping and the others in, he could locate the other party's space. Then he could descend directly and break this tortoise shell. Having said that, Zhang Tao suddenly said telepathically, "Hurry up, hide your aura. I'll make you look like an early stage rank." Fong Ping's gaze flickered. Was he going to set someone up? However, would it be too late to hide in front of the other party's house? Zhang Tao seemed to know what he was thinking. He smiled and said telepathically, "It's okay. The other party won't dare to probe near me. I'm here. Once the other party probes, I'll definitely find out." Of course, We can't exclude the possibility that the other party has some means to see us here. However, they probably won't be able to distinguish your strength." As he said that, Zhang Tao continued, "Later, I'll retreat a little. You guys go in. If there's no danger, then you can follow him and deal with him first. If there's danger, Fong Ping will immediately reveal his aura. With your strength, I can break the space and descend instantly if you reveal your aura. That's good too. Diplomacy before force. He's a senior, after all. It's not very polite to break the space and drag him out of the coffin directly." Fong Ping could not stop complaining. "Polite? Forget it. You threatened the other party to pay for the passage the moment you arrived. How is that polite? Remember, only reveal your aura when there's danger. Otherwise, you can coax some benefits out of him first. Otherwise, if you attack and kill the other party, some good stuff will go to waste." Zhang Tao was also calculative. He calculated, keep some of the good stuff first. You can communicate with the other party, gossip, and ask about the situation. These things can still be asked now. After we kill the other party later, there won't be any more questions. Actually, it was not worth it to kill someone. Old Zhang felt that there was a need to cultivate a relationship with the other party. As for the other party's schemes, what a joke. He was already here. If the other party could still scheme against everyone, then would he, Zhang Tao, still have any dignity left? Fong Ping transmitted his voice. "Will the other party let us in?" "Don't worry, they will." Old Zhang laughed heartily. Suddenly, his mentality fluctuated. Fong Ping and the others did not notice anything at first. Soon, however, everyone felt that something was wrong. The space was trembling. No, it was twisting. Zhang Tao placed his hands behind his back, his expression indifferent. He did not make a sound. However, the surrounding space began to distort like a mirror that had been smashed. After a while, Zhang Tao said again, "1 minute. I don't care if you understand or not. I can only wait this long. Let them go in and give me some good stuff. Otherwise, I won't be polite." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Tao threw a punch. Crack! The void shattered. As this punch was thrown, no one knew where the fist force traveled to. A faint, ear-piercing friction sound was heard. 30 seconds left. Boom! Another punch. After this punch, Zhang Tao chuckled. "Do you think I don't have the ability to find your location? It might be hard to find, but don't force me to shatter all the space nearby, so that you have nowhere to hide." 20 seconds. Boom. Another punch. 10 seconds. Fong Ping and the others' eyelids twitched. Old Zhang was the biggest robber since ancient times. His attitude was as if he would raid the house if they did not pay for the passage. Overbearing. At this moment, a sigh came from somewhere. Is the emperor of today a guest like this? Guest? Zhang Tao's mentality probed around. He smiled faintly. "No guest. This is my territory. You are the guests. No matter what happened in the past since you gave up and left, now you have a new master. You are the guests, the evil guests hiding in the master's house." After saying that, he said again, "I'll give you one last chance. Let them in and show enough sincerity. Otherwise, I will destroy your hiding place today." This is not the way of the human sovereign. The ethereal voice sounded again, but the source of the voice was still undetectable. "Human emperor?" Zhang Tao sneered and said, "You are wrong. I am not a human sovereign. I don't care what happens to the human emperor. I have my own way of doing things. Enough nonsense. I'll leave this place and bring them in. If the benefits aren't enough, I'll bring a few titled true gods over to properly entertain Senior." After saying that, Zhang Tao disappeared from where he was. With him here, the other party probably wouldn't dare to open the passage. At this moment, Fong Ping and the others were only displaying the strength of rank 7 or 8, not rank 9. Even if the other party knew the means of a Run Huang, he might not think that he could pinpoint the specific location of the space. Before Zhang Tao left, he cursed in his heart, "Drink the water I used to wash my feet." This kid Fong Ping had a golden body at 8th refinement. His chi was stronger than a rank 9. As long as the explosion was not concealed, he would immediately be able to sense the specific location, even if they were separated by space. Peaceful measures before resorting to force. "I've done it right." Old Zhang sighed in his heart. "I'm quite easy to talk to. I didn't even attack directly." Old Zhang left as soon as he said that, leaving Fong Ping and the others behind. They looked at each other, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. How domineering. It seemed to be the first time Qin Fengqin felt old Zhang's domineering. Even his gaze was different. This arrogance. When others wanted opportunities and met senior martial artists, they would beg in every way possible. Old Zhang, on the other hand, was straightforward. If you wanted to give it, you had to give it. As soon as Zhang Tao left, the old voice in the void spoke again. "Junior, that day I saw that you had extraordinary perseverance and wanted to give you a chance. Sai, I didn't expect that an unwelcome guest would come today. This generation's emperor is not as generous as the emperor." Qin Fengqin was all smiles and said hurriedly, "Senior, don't misunderstand. I was prepared to come by myself. But Senior, you don't know what's happening now. Minister, the emperor monitors the world and is everywhere. I was discovered as soon as I moved. Senior, I had no choice." Qin Fengqin felt wronged and said innocently, "These few people beside me all have powerful backgrounds. They are all the emperor's direct descendants. I can't not bring them. Senior, I really didn't betray you." Qin Fengqin was so wronged that he was about to cry. He said again, "Senior, if it really doesn't work, you can just give us some benefits and send us off." The voice did not come out again. Fong Ping said with a smile, "Senior, the current emperor has a bad temper. He always speaks like this. Actually, he doesn't mean any harm. People like us are easy to satisfy. Senior, just give us some opportunities will do. But we are really curious about where you are. Actually, the emperor wants us to go in mainly to confirm if there are any threats." Fong Ping also seemed to be straightforward. Now that humans and the catacombs are at war, the catacombs is God's land or a different world. I don't know if Senior knows. We are also worried that Senior is related to the catacombs. As long as we go in and don't find anything unusual, that emperor will not deliberately make you an enemy. We humans are weak, so we can only protect ourselves like this. If Senior refuses to let us in now, then some things have to be done. It's not that the emperor is overbearing. It's just that the situation is like this, forcing everyone to do this. After Fong Ping finished speaking, his face was full of helplessness and sorrow. "There's nothing wrong with what I said, right? I just want to confirm if you are hostile. This is reasonable. If you can't distinguish between friend and foe, then humans have no choice but to make a move." This time, the other party seemed to be thinking, remaining silent. After a while, the old voice sounded again. "Forget it, forget it. This old man really doesn't mean any harm. You all are also promising talents. Then come in." As soon as the voice fell, Fong Ping and the rest's vision went black. The space distorted. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared on the spot. As soon as they disappeared, Zhang Tao appeared instantly, looking at a black hole that flashed and disappeared. Zhang Tao's expression did not change. He said indifferently, "Senior, don't hurt them. These few are the most outstanding prodigies among us humans." Silence. Zhang Tao did not care. He did not speak anymore, as if he had become a fossil. He stood still on the spot, closing his eyes and resting. On the other side, Fong Ping and the rest's vision went black. In the next moment, they appeared by a small lake. Beside the lake, trees grew. Fong Ping even saw a few small animals running and playing by the lakeside. Fong Ping looked up at the sky subconsciously. Then he frowned. Not the catacombs? There was no huge sun. No, there was no sun. Although this place was white, it seemed like it was white and not caused by the refraction of sunlight. There were even white clouds floating in the sky. They stood by the shore. In front of them was a lake. It was an ordinary lake, not the eternal lake. The lake was in the center, surrounded by trees. Fong Ping saw some fruits on some trees, but he could not sense any energy. No, it was because his mentality could not detect the other side. Is this the world where the other party is? Fong Ping wondered. Was this the catacombs? Or was it like the Hall of Myriad Origins? A storage space hidden in a spatial rift? Theoretically, this was possible. If the Hall of Myriad Origins was sturdy enough, a powerhouse could shatter the space and stuff the Hall of Myriad Origins inside. Actually, it was possible for people to survive. However, Fong Ping suspected that the Hall of Myriad Origins might not be able to do it. The cutting power of the spatial rift was extremely strong. Even Li Hansong's divine armor would be cut into pieces. This was only for a short period of time. If it was left in the spatial rift for a long time, even the strongest weapon would be cut into pieces. Just as he was thinking about this, in the next moment, someone suddenly chuckled behind him. "Young master, sorry to disturb you." Fong Ping turned his head and looked. His brows twitched slightly. "Rank 8. Fong Ping was surprised. A rank 8 powerhouse. An old man who looked very old, dressed in an ancient robe, bowed slightly and looked at them with a smile. Fong Ping's attention was attracted earlier. He did not notice the other party's existence for a while. "You are?" Fong Ping looked puzzled. He asked hesitantly, "Aren't you the senior just now?" "Master is still cultivating in seclusion. Please follow me." The old man was all smiles. Fong Ping asked calmly, "There's someone else here?" There was actually more than one person. Things were getting more and more interesting. Now that chaos was coming, even ghosts and monsters were coming out. Not only did top-notch powerhouses show their figures, but there were also some ancient humans. What did this mean? Were there any living people in the heavenly palace in the bounded domain? Although he had been to the Xuanda Grotto, he really did not know if there were other living people there. As for L.V. Zhan, who had been to Quokang Mountain, he went to the Lake of Eternal. He stayed there for a few years and almost never went to other areas. The heavenly palace stretched for thousands of miles. The place was incomparably huge. The Lake of Eternal was only a small area, like a small corner of a city. It was hard to say whether there were people in other places. Rank 8 ancient humans. Fong Ping's heart rippled. Were these real ancient humans or the descendants of some ancient people here? Could it be that these people will also appear in the future? Fong Ping fell into deep thought for a while. Beside him, Qin Fengqing smiled and said, "Senior, I didn't see you the last time I came. Have you always been living here?" In front, the old man's tone was slightly different from modern humans. He smiled and said, "I've always been here. Young friend, you trespassed here by mistake last time. Initially, I wanted to chase you away, but the master said that you have great perseverance, so he let you stay here for a while. The last time, the master was still in closed-door cultivation. He only sensed your arrival slightly. Initially, he planned to meet you again, the next time you come, but I didn't expect." The old man shook his head slightly, a little regretful. He glanced at Fong Ping and the rest, smiled, and said nothing. It was as if their opportunity was ruined by these few people. Fong Ping was sober now. He smiled faintly and said, "Old sir, he has great perseverance. Where did you see that from? When it comes to perseverance, I don't think we're any worse than him. We'll only be stronger than him. He's just a rank 7 martial artist." Fong Ping said proudly, "I'm a rank 8 golden body. I'm younger than him. Logically, if the master of this place really values someone, it should be me." Fong Ping's pride was overflowing with words. Beside him, Li Hansong's golden body was also shining. He chuckled and said, "Me too. Qin Feng Qing isn't considered strong, right? Senior, you said he has great perseverance, but he's not as strong as us, right?" Ha ha ha. Li Hansong was also laughing heartily. Qin Feng Qing looked sullen. He did not say a word. He lowered his head and did not speak. The old man sighed. Very quickly he smiled and said, "Young masters, please follow me." He led the way in front. Fong Ping did not send a voice transmission. He looked at Old Wang and Iron Head, raised his eyebrows slightly, and gestured at them quietly. Not a good thing. They actually wanted to sow discord. Although what the other party said seemed to be the truth, was it appropriate to say this the first time they met? These guys seem to be deliberately making Qin Feng Qing hostile toward us. What are they plotting? Fong Ping was puzzled. He looked at Qin Feng Qing again. With a look of contempt, he sent a voice transmission. "Qin Feng Qing, you useless thing. Even if the opportunity falls into your hands, it's a waste. You don't have a true God to back you up. It's already good enough that I brought you here this time. If you didn't help me run errands to ask for a true God clone last time, would you be able to come to this place? If you dare to be dissatisfied, don't blame me for teaching you a lesson when we get out." Fong Ping's arrogance was overflowing with words. Qin Feng Qing clenched his fists tightly. Without saying a word, he followed the old man in front of him quietly, walking toward the orchard together. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.